everybody. Welcome to IPFW Men's Volleyball on CATV, along with IPFW Women's Assistant Head Coach Steve Florio. Ken Horman here on CATV. Tonight, the St. Francis Red Flash against the homestanding Mastodons, and we are just about set for action as this is the final weekend of regular season play for the Mastodons. It's the Pennsylvania weekend. St. Francis tonight, and then tomorrow night, the #1 team in the land, Penn State University, invades the Gate Center. The final weekend of the regular season for the Dons, and Steve, they really want to use this as a tune-up to prepare for the MIVA tournament a week from tonight.
Absolutely. It's nice to have two matches with no pressure, so you can just go ahead and work out what you need to work out headed into the playoffs.
And here in the opening serve, IPFW comes up with a point as Jordan Veree, coming down the middle, is blocked by the Dons. We are underway, and it's 1-0 IPFW.
You know, blocking is something the Dons have really improved on over the course of the season. It was a strength the other night against Ohio State.
Ollie Cook with a little jump serve, and there's another swing, this time by Dave Riley. That winds up in the antenna. That'll be a swing error by St. Francis, and the Dons quickly on top 2-0. Patty Salvatore is the up official. Dave Sines is the down official. Oliver Cook, the freshman out of Hamburg, Germany, another little floater, flipped up by Dave Riley. The pass comes back to Riley, and he gets it over, and Graydon Ainsworth can't come up with the play, so that'll be the first point for the Red Flashes, cutting the Dons' lead to 2-1.
Just a little touch off the block there, little misdirection, was a little tough for Graydon.
Now Shane Conley with a big jump serve, comes down the middle, bumped up by C.J. Macias. Ainsworth, a short set, but really kind of fanning on it is Josh Stewart, so that's a swing error by the Dons, and now we are quickly even 2-2. Game number 1. It's the best 3 out of 5 in the first 4 games. It's first team to 30 by 2. If it goes to a 5th, it's first team to 15 by 2. Another big serve. It's an overpass now by Brock Ulrich. Little short ball down the middle. It's blocked by Josh Stewart. Flip back over. Ainsworth back sets to Jason Yost, and the big left-hander from San Diego puts it down off the arm of Shane Conley in the back row, and so the Dons go back ahead 3-2.
Yost has been the hot hand for the Dons lately, and had a great match against Ohio State the other night, and he continues to swing away. And
here comes the big lefty from San Diego, loads up the big serve, good topspin. Kind of an errant pass. Here comes the set, and it's a dink attempt, but it's flared out of bounds by Dave Riley. The Dons go back ahead by a pair of points as they move the lead up to 4-2. Jason Yost, the senior from San Diego, is the reigning Midwest Intercollegiate Volleyball Association Player of the Week. Another big serve, bumped up neatly by Martis Schultz. And a little flip over that time by Veree. Now the set comes to Yost, and again, oh, the left-hander down the line just buries the ball. That time into the body of Nick Rivette. Another kill for Yost. Dons have their biggest lead presently of 3 at 5-2.
And Yost is going to be a weapon as the Dons head into the playoffs. He's just been really on fire the last few weeks.
Another big serve. That time it's bumped up neatly by Riley. The set comes across to Riley, but it's a bit of an errant set. Riley and the ball wind up in the net, and the Dons have reeled off 4 consecutive points and lead 6-2. And very quickly now, the coach of St. Francis, Mike Rumbaugh, calls a timeout.
Well, Yost is making an immediate impact in this match already. His 2 kills, he's serving the ball real tough, causing all sorts of problems for St. Francis.
Now we'll take a minute here to thank one of our sponsors for tonight's game, 816 Pint and Slice, located at 816 South Calhoun Street in Fort Wayne. For fine pizza and drinks, it's 816 Pint and Slice. And Steve, while we have this timeout, we can catch things up a little bit. Again, the up official, Patty Salvatore, and boy, did she get some great news recently. She has been assigned to work the Olympics in volleyball. Dave Sines is the down official. The starting lineup for St. Francis is Marcus Schultz. He's a libero, a 6-foot sophomore out of Berlin, Germany. Nick Rivette is an opposite hitter. He's a 6'4" sophomore out of Pittsburgh. Jordan Veree is another opposite. He's a sophomore, 6'3" out of Meadville, Pennsylvania. Dave Riley, another outside hitter, a sophomore, 6'3" out of Yardley, Pennsylvania. Eric City is a 6'8" freshman middle out of Clarence, New York. Shane Conley is the setter, 6'3" junior out of Pittsburgh. And Doug Zerko is a freshman middle, 6'3" out of Latrobe, Pennsylvania. Now here comes the big serve by Yost. And here comes a play over, bumped by Macias, and that's a little bit wide, kind of an overpass and an errant pass by Macias, so that cuts the Dons' streak of points, makes it 6-3, and we do have some keys to the match for both teams as far as how things have to trend for the respective teams to prevail. Dave Riley with the big serve, bumped up neatly by Macias. Graydon Ainsworth sets for Yost, and that will be a kill for Jason Yost, as for the back row right now for St. Francis is struggling a bit. Dons move ahead now 7-3.
Well, Yost is just slinging that ball straight down the line, and that's a very, very hard ball to dig, a shot down the line like that.
Brock Ulrich with his big power serve, bumped up by Schultz. The short set, swing that time by Veree. Dons try to track it down. Can CJ keep it alive? Yes. Free ball batted over by Yost. No, it was 4 hits. So it was a valiant attempt by Macias right near his own bench. And that will now make it a 7-4 game. This is game number 1. Now Eric City past Macias. Josh Stewart tries to get the short ball down the middle. Bumped up by Dave Riley. And a free ball is played over by the Red Flashes. Short ball sent to Josh Stewart, and Big Red pounds it to the floor. Dons go on top 8-4.
And while they're feeding Jason Yost a lot of sets, look for Graydon Ainsworth to also try to run his middles. Josh and Oliver, just trying to get them going for the playoffs. That's a connection that they still need to work on.
The jump floater by Stewart. And again, St. Francis struggling to get any kind of rhythm. C.J. Macias pounds it over the net and down right in front of Shane Conley. So give the kill to C.J. 9-4 Dons. By the way, the IPFW starting lineup. Matt Plitsky is the libero, 6'3" sophomore out of St. Charles, Missouri. C.J. Macias, the All-American, 6'4" senior, outside hitter from Fort Lauderdale. Stewart with another float serve. There's a back set, and pounding it off the top of the Dons block is Jordan Veree, so he gets the kill. Cuts the Dons lead to 9-5. Brock Ulrich, another senior. He is a 6'6" senior outside hitter from Winfield, Illinois. Oliver Cook, the freshman middle, 6'6" out of Hamburg, Germany. Now a big serve, that time by Jordan Veree. Sails very long. That'll be the first serving error by St. Francis. An easy point for the Dons, who now have a 10-5 lead in game number 1. Again, we talked about Josh Stewart, the 6'8" senior out of Ontario. And now a little flip over that time by Nick Rivette gives St. Francis a point to make it 10-6. And the remainder of the Dons are Graydon Ainsworth, 6'8" senior. He is setting. He's also out of Ontario, Canada. And Jason Yost, the 6'4" senior opposite out of San Diego. Matt Plitsky with a very nifty pass from the back row. Ulrich is blocked, and a chance for St. Francis. Now the set comes to Rivette, bumped up by Plitsky again. Back set comes to Macias. He dinks it off the block. That time Riley could not handle it, and it's a point for the Dons. And these are the keys for the Red Flash. They try to have to keep this match close. To do that, they're going to have a lot of touches, Steve, keep the ball in play. And they're going to have some sort of a block to try to thwart the Dons. When they played earlier in the season at St. Francis, the teams went 5. And there is a long serve by C.J. Macias. That'll be the first service error committed by the Dons. IPFW's lead is now 11-7 in game number 1.
I think there happens to be a big difference for St. Francis's lineup, though. Since the last time they played, they've had 2 key injuries that have changed their lineup drastically.
Well, as Ollie Cook gets the kill, you make a key point, and you found this out doing a little scouting. Pete Fryer, who is a sophomore middle, was injured, I believe, a week ago, and it was season-ending as Cook pops up his little floater, and it's just a little long. So another error by the Dons cuts their lead to 12-8. And then during the pre-match warm-up, just moments ago, Patrick McManaman, who is a 6'6" sophomore middle out of Huntington, Pennsylvania, he rolled an ankle during warm-up, and he is out of the lineup. Overpass by the Dons, and as Ainsworth tried to plate it, he was over the net. So that'll give the point to St. Francis, cutting the Dons' lead to 12-9. For the Dons, they'd like to get off to a fast start, end this one early. And Arnie Ball, his mantra is always serve and pass, serve and pass. And there is a big serve that time by Shane Conley, and he collects the ace. So that'll be an ace for St. Francis, and all of a sudden, the Dons' lead is tightened up to just 2 points at 12-10.
Well, Dons have been serving well, and overall they've been passing well, but they're breaking down just a touch, but there's a great pass.
And a great set and a great kill that time by Josh Stewart. I call him the albatross because of the long arms. And Big Red gets the kill, putting the Dons back on top 13-10.
And that's something that the Dons need to see more of, is Josh Stewart connecting with Graydon Ainsworth, as it hasn't been as sharp as it could be lately.
Big serve by Yost, bumped up by Schultz. Now the set comes to Jordan Veree, and he bangs it off the arm of Macias. So Veree trying to dial things up a little bit. Give him the kill, 13-11 IPFW.
So going into the playoffs, the Dons are really going to want to see how sharp they can get their middle attack, both Kook and Stewart.
Big serve by Riley. Ainsworth, good ball to handle. There's the slide, and they love to run that slide. You do this a lot with the women's program. It's not traditionally a men's play, but the Dons have worked that more and more into their repertoire.
You hardly ever
see
that play in a men's volleyball game, and that's why St. Francis actually had a lot of trouble defending it, because it's something that you don't ever defend against.
Ulrich with the big serve, and that time the swing by Nick Rivette is a little bit long, so now the Dons widen the lead again. It's 15-11. This is game number 1, best 3 out of 5.
And speaking of that slide attack, Brock Ulrich is the only IPFW player that I've ever seen run that attack.
And I think they mostly do it exclusively for him.
Yeah.
There's an overpass, and Josh Stewart makes him pay as he puts a dent in the floor. So Stewart is also dialing things up. The Dons back on top by 5, 16-11.
Brock traditionally has a tough jump serve. See what he can spin off here.
Well, bumped up very neatly that time by Rivette. And I believe as he tried to load up the kill, we had a Don in the net, so that will be a point for the Red Flashes. IPFW's lead is 16-12. St. Francis comes in 11-13. They're 6-6 in the Eastern Intercollegiate Volleyball Association. Float serve that time by Eric City, sails long. Gift point for the Dons to make it 17-12. And the service errors are now even at 2 apiece. Josh Stewart now set to serve for IPFW. There's a look at Arnie Ball and Ryan Perrott. That time Schultz steps in front of his teammate Veree, who then has to set the ball, and he's called for a double hit. So mishandle by Jordan Veree. And the Dons have an 18-12 lead. And we have a timeout here at the Gate Center. Dons on top in game 1 by 6. This is Mastodons Volleyball on CATV.
Excellence lives here in northeastern Indiana. It's reflected in more than 200 nationally recognized degrees. It drives our Division I sports. It's alive in our campus life. Excellence has a name, IPFW. Around our campus, around the country, around the world. Excellence lives here. Indiana University, Purdue University, Fort Wayne. One university, 2 great names.
Hilliard Gate Sports Center enjoying their weekend here as IPFW, a big weekend tonight, taking on St. Francis of Pennsylvania. Tomorrow night, the #1 team in the country, the Penn State Nittany Lions, will be here at Gates. You'll see that match here on CATV at 7 o'clock. Ryan Elijah will be on the call with you, Steve, on that one. I'll be doing it on the radio side.
Okay.
And hopefully we have a packed house here. What a way it would be to close the regular season if the Dons could knock off the Nittany Lions' longtime rivalry with Mark Pavlik of Penn State, Arnie Ball here with the Dons. Now here comes Josh Stewart, little float serve, bumped up by Schultz. Quick set goes across, and kind of a hook shot by Rivette. The Dons save it on the dive, but the swing by Macias is too long. So the point goes to St. Francis. Dons now lead 18-13. IPFW coming in. That's been a roller coaster ride, literally 12 up, 12 down. And they finished 5-7 in the Midwest Intercollegiate Volleyball Association. Ainsworth, good ball to handle. Short ball is put down by Ollie Cook.
And that's a good thing to see. And here we have a look at St. Francis versus IPFW when IPFW played out in Loretto.
Yeah, back February 8th, and the Dons won the first 2. Then the Red Flashes flashed back to tied at 4. Then the Dons won it in the 5th. There's a big swing that time by Rivette. The Dons block it. They'll try again. Bumped over this time by Veree. Plisky. Ainsworth for CJ. CJ only had 1 block to worry about, and he banged it off the hands of Conley. Macias with another kill. Dons on top, 20-13. And things are pretty well set as far as the MIVA playoffs are concerned. We'll get into that as this match proceeds. Graydon Ainsworth senior setter out of Canada, flipped up by Schultz. Set that time by Conley, but it's flipped over. Dons with a chance. Here's Macias loading it up. Bangs it off the block that time of Conley. And now the Dons are widening the lead, 21-13.
You know, and when the Dons play a bigger team, a taller team like Penn State tomorrow night, that's something I'd like to see personally more out of CJ, is hitting it off the block and out of bounds instead of trying to drive it through the block or find a hole, because there really won't be much of a hole with a big old team like Penn State.
Braden Ainsworth surveys the landscape as he gets ready for his little jump serve. Pops it up over, pumped up by Schultz. Now a back set comes from Mark Steele, and the Dons with a big block that time, and now it's 22-13, so IPFW is starting to pull away. And now head coach Mike Rumbaugh of the Red Flashes is having a conversation with Dave Sines. Rumbaugh just brought in a couple of subs, Mark Steele, who is a senior out of Martinsburg, Pennsylvania, and Alex Fortney, he's a sophomore out of York, Pennsylvania. I believe Steele is now in to do the setting. And there he is, a back set, and loading it up that time is Rivette. He bangs it off the Dons block. So there's a point for St. Francis to make it 22-14. Well, we'll cut right to the chase. A week from tonight, the Dons will open their MIVA playoff tournament, their first round match. It'll be at Loyola of Chicago. Plisky bumps up the serve, good pass. Ollie Cook wipes it off the block. 23-14 Dons. Now this is going to be one of those years IPFW has gone to the NCAA Final Four the last 2 years. If they're going to do it this year, they'll have to do it entirely on the road. They'll be at Loyola, Chicago a week from tonight, round one of the MIVA tournament, 8 o'clock Fort Wayne time. Bumped up neatly by Schultz, but the set that time by Steele goes nowhere, some missed timing. And now the Dons have a 10-point bulge at 24-14. Ohio State won the MIVA championship by a game over Ball State. Lewis third, Loyola fourth, IPFW wound up fifth, Quincy 6th, and Mercyhurst 7th. Big serve by Macias, and that's an overpass, and Ollie Cook makes him pay. 25-14 IPFW. Steve, now they're in command here in game one.
And, you know, the good news about, if there is good news about having to be on the road, is the Dons have a lot of success in the playoffs against Loyola. They've won several playoff matches over the past few years at Loyola. And then last year they won the MIVA tournament at Ohio State.
Yes. Well, there's a big set that time that goes to Riley, and he wipes it off the Dons block to make it 25-15. Well, Arnie Ball has always gone on record as saying he does not mind matches on the road, especially tournament matches. 2 years ago, they won the championship at Loyola, beating Loyola to go to Penn State. Last year, they won the championship at Ohio State, beating Ohio State. And Ohio State will be the #1 seed in this year's tournament. Set down the middle, and oh, does Brock Ulrich smoke that one as he hammered it into the back row, and Nick Rivette tried to pop it up, but to no avail. 26-15 Dons, and there'll be a substitution for Arnie Ball as Dan McNerney, the 6'5 senior from Long Grove, Illinois, comes in. He also sets. He can be an opposite, and he's a bit of a serving specialist.
He's got quite a unique serve here. Take a look at it. That's a jump float.
And there is a short ball that time set for Eric City. And City, who has that kind of Kurt Rambis look if you're a former LA Lakers fan with the sideburns and the glasses. His kill, now for the time being, trims the Don leads to 10. Alex Fortney with the serve. Nifty little pass by Macias. Back set to Yost. Yost drills it off the back row arm of Rivette. Jason Yost has been a force here in game #1 as the Dons are 3 points from taking this first game.
And Yost is hitting a perfect 1,000. That's his 4th kill on as many tries. He's 4 for 4. So it continues to be the hot hand for the Dons.
Here's that big serve. It clips the net. Good dig that time by Tyler Matera, who checked in, and that time a swing by Fortney goes off the Dons block and out of bounds, so Alex Fortney collects the kill, and the Dons lead is shaved down again. Well, I thought that made it. Well, it's 27-17, so the Dons have the 10-point lead still. It's a pretty good serve that time by Riley. Macias bumps it up. The back set to Yost. Yost just buries it into the body that time of Riley. Free ball is played over by the Red Flashes. Ainsworth tries to flip it over, but he's blocked. But somehow Stewart gets it over. A left-handed swing by Steele. And kind of a little bit of helter-skelter play, and the point winds up St. Francis's way. Pretty good rally there, and a good job by the Red Flashes to keep it alive.
Yeah, you know, scrapping out some of those plays. Sometimes they work for you, sometimes they don't.
Now the serve that time by Riley, bit of a change of pace. Short ball to Stewart. It's blocked that time, and blocked effectively by Eric City. So here come the Red Flashes, and it's now 27-19. Don still just need a couple of side outs, and they're on their way to game one.
Yeah, and with a comfortable lead, you almost want to see Graydon go back to Josh, let Josh redeem himself, and continue to work on that connection.
Served by Riley. Plisky from a knee. There's a set across to Ulrich. He only has a one-man block up there, and he pounds it off the top of the block. 28-19, Dons. Well, Ulrich, I gave him the nickname a couple of years ago, the Sidewinder, because he has kind of a unique twisting motion in his body when he races up to the back line for his serve. One of the better servers on the team, bumped up by Matera. Set comes across, and Revit drills it off the body of Yost. It comes over, and a nifty little dink that time results in a St. Francis point. And now it's 28-20, but the Dons still have to think, hey, we're just 2 side outs away. So now coming in is Seth Kadich and Doug Zerko. So freely substituting is Mike Rumbaugh.
Yeah, and the Dons don't want to ease up, though. They want to sort of close this game out and not give St. Francis any momentum heading into the next game.
Wow, an overpass by Macias, and a chance for the Red Flashes, who convert as Revette wipes it off the block, and now it's 28-21.
You know, because in volleyball, you know, you get to start the next game at 0-0, right? So if you go into that next game with momentum, having run a whole bunch of points off, even though you lost, you've got sort of the momentum, and momentum in volleyball is huge.
Seth Kadich with the serve, and again it's an overpass by the Dons, and just banging it off the block is Revette.
And the Red Flash are picking up some steam, picking up some momentum right now, and the Dons need to put an end to it, because the Dons don't want the Red Flash to think they got a chance in game 2 because they finished game 1 hot.
Kadich with a serve that kind of rides up the arm of Ulrich, and C.J. Macias manages to get a little touch on his swing. So the Dons now will have their fans on their feet here in the Gates Center as they have a fistful of game points, and Mike Marisi, the 5'8 junior libero out of Antioch, Illinois, will come in to try to serve it out. You might notice Mike has got kind of a puffy lip. He's wearing a big mouth guard because he injured some teeth on the road a week or so ago. And the Dons on the block that time stuff Alex Fortney, and that will give game number 1 to IPFW by the score of 30-22. Dons prevail in game number 1, 30-22. We'll be back with game number 2. This is Mastodons Volleyball on CATV.
Get the inside set on the hard-hitting, high-flying IPFW men's volleyball program each Thursday, Friday, and Saturday on College Access Television. Coach Arnie Ball and Coach Mark Franke bring you scores and highlights, talk about the matches, the competition, and introduce you to a player or special guest. It's the Arnie Ball Show, Thursdays at 7:30 p.m., Fridays at 6:30 p.m., and Saturdays at noon on College Access Television.
I've gone away to a college where the class size is small.
I've gone away to a college with a beautiful campus.
I've gone away to a college that cares about diversity.
I've gone away to a college where I get to live in my own apartment instead of living in a dorm room.
I've gone away to a college that really isn't that far away at all.
I go to IPFW.
IPFW.
I go to IPFW.
To find out more about college life at IPFW, go to our website. Indiana University, Purdue University, Fort Wayne. One university, 2 great names.
Coming up this month on IPFW Up Close, it's never too late to go to IPFW. We'll find out about a series of workshops designed specifically for adult students who want to go to college. Would you like a little comedy in your life? We'll have details of a special trip to Chicago to see one of Shakespeare's best comedies this summer, and we'll talk with an IPFW professor about her latest book on America. I hope you'll join me, Susan Alderman, for IPFW Up Close, Sundays at noon on College Access TV.
Welcome back to the Hilliard Gate Sports Center on the campus of IPFW. Glad you could join us for tonight's men's volleyball match between visiting St. Francis, Pennsylvania, homestanding IPFW, the regular season finale weekend here for the Dons. IPFW prevailing in game number 1 of this best 3 out of 5, 30-22. Kent Horman along with IPFW Women's Associate Head Coach Steve Florio. And Steve, let's take a look at some of those statistics from game number 1. It was a little bit close, back and forth, seesawing around a little bit, and then the Dons just started to establish themselves and pull away.
Absolutely. The Dons did a great job of mixing up their attack. They set the ball pretty much multiple times to every hitter on the floor. 6 times to Macias, 4 times to Ulrich, 4 times to Kook, 6 times to Stewart, 5 times to Yost. So really even spread on the attack, making it very hard for the blockers of St. Francis to pick up any tendencies on the Dons' part.
And you know that, and I know you do this with the women's program, it's always good, you know, like they'll have a go-to guy, you'll have a go-to lady, but you like to spread the wealth because
Absolutely.
I think if you can really dish things around, it makes you tougher to defend and less predictable.
Yeah, if you think about it in football terms, if the quarterback is using all his receivers, it's hard to put a double team on anyone because you know that he's going to throw to anyone he's got. But a quarterback who just throws to one receiver constantly, it's easy to shut that team down. So when you can spread your attack out and use all your weapons, it makes it that much more difficult to defend.
You know, the Dons break their huddle, and quite frankly, as they're thinking about this match right now, but I'm sure someplace in the recesses of their mind is the match with number 1 Penn State tomorrow. They would love to get this over in 3, get that little extra rest. And there's part of Arnie's Army here in the Gate Center. Pretty good crowd in here tonight. And we hope to have a big, big house tomorrow night when the number 1 team in the land, Penn State, 24-1, comes in here to the Gate Center. Eric City starts out with the serve, bumped up by Ulrich. He'll take the set and pound it off the block. So Brock Ulrich collects the first point for the Mastodons in game number 2. 1-0 IPFW.
And for the most part, the Dons have been passing really well the last few matches. And that was a great serve by City, and it was a really nice pass by the Dons.
Yost with the power serve. And there comes the set, and a good job that time by Nick Rivette to wipe it off the Dons block. We're even at a point apiece in game number 2.
And Rivette is a bright spot for the Red Flash. He's got 8 kills on 14 attempts. He's hitting 500.
Big power serve by Jordan Veree, but a good dig by the Dons. There's the slide again, and Ulrich gets it through the block that time. And it's really funny because you just talked about in game 1 how you rarely, if ever, see the slide in the men's game, but they run that set specifically for Ulrich. And I think it's so rare in men's volleyball, but every time he goes up, he's got a grin on his face. Ulrich with the power serve, and it serves long. So that'll be a service error.
Well, it's fun. It's a fun hit to hit. It's a fun set to hit, and it's probably pretty cool to do considering you're the only one that does it.
Now that time, a little short ball set by Ainsworth, and Stewart, kind of a semi-dink, and that threw the Red Flashes off guard, so they flare the dig attempt out of bounds. Dons go back on top 3-2.
And again, I've been saying this so far all night. I really like to see Ainsworth and Stewart work on their connection tonight. It seems to be that's what they're doing.
Back set by Steele that time is put down by Jordan Veree. And we're even at 3. In game number 2, there's a look at Jordan Veree, a 6'3" sophomore out of Meadville, Pennsylvania. Serve is overpassed by Macias. And here's a chance, Steele down the middle, but that one is airmailed by City. It's kind of a gift for the Dons. They go on top 4-3, and Arnie Ball having a conversation with Ryan Perrott. If I've known Arnie almost 30 years, you just say, Arnie, what's the key? You always hear him say serve and pass, serve and pass. There's an overpass, and Macias makes them pay, as that time the libero, Schultz, overpassed, and Macias put down the kill. Dons go on top by 2, 5-3.
Well, serving and passing, really, when you break it down, it's the most important parts of the game. I couldn't agree more with Coach Ball.
Here comes the set, and that's a good swing that time by Dave Riley. Came flying down the outside and found a hole around the Dons block to cut IPFW's lead to 5-4.
When you serve tough, you make it hard for the other team to get a good attack off, and when you pass well, you get good attacks off yourself.
Steele with a left-handed serve. Plisky kind of had that one go off his arm. The Dons have to play more or less a free ball over, and then coming in to wipe it off the Dons block is Vary again.
And that's a good example of what happens when you don't pass well. That was not a good pass. It did not go to the setter. And so the Dons had to send a very easy shot over, and St. Francis was able to capitalize.
Steele with the left-handed serve, peeled off the floor by Ulrich. Short ball is set to Ollie Cook, and he whistles it down past Steele. So the Dons go back on top by a point, 6-5.
And that was a better pass, enabling Ainsworth to set his middle, Oliver Cook.
C.J. Macias, the big swing with his serve, takes some pace off of it. Set comes across to Vary, and boy, does Vary put that down with authority right around Cook and Yost. So it is 6-6.
And the red flash needed to have some guys start heating up as opposed to just Rivette. And there seemed to be getting some guys taking some better swings. That was a good swing by Vary.
Riley with the serve. Plisky bumps it up. The short ball, that time to Ollie Cook, and he drills it off the arm of a diving Marcus Schultz. Dons go on top 7-6.
And as Ainsworth connects better and better with his middles heading into the playoffs, it's going to open up the big guns for IPFW in Yost and Macias and Ulrich.
Cook with his knuckle serve, and the set that time comes to Rivette. Dons have a chance. They get a piece of it. Ulrich, oh, and that time he is blocked. A good block by Vary with help from City. And we're even at 7 apiece. This has been nip and tuck back and forth. The biggest lead has been 2. The Dons were on top at 1.5-3, but we are even at 7. Now City.
We got Zerko in the middle for St. Francis.
And there's the left hand of Jason Yost saying, take that.
And he bites, he comes into the game fresh, a lineup change by Coach Rumbaugh, and he bites on the first attack with the second attack coming through. The block needs to communicate better and let their blockers know, each have to let know when a hitter is coming around.
Served by Yost, finds the belly of the net, so that will be the 4th service error by the Dons. They have yet to collect an ace. St. Francis has 2 errors, and they have 1 ace. Vary with his big serve, bumped up neatly by Macias. Set comes to Ulrich, and Ulrich is blocked. Can the Dons keep it alive? No. A diving attempt that time by Yost, but he sails the ball into the stands. So now it is 9-8 in favor of St. Francis. That is their first lead at any point so far in this match. Jordan Vary, high toss, big serve. There's an overpass by Ulrich, and making him pay is the lefty, Mark Steele. So hello, St. Francis says, how about that? And it's 10-8 red flashes.
And Vary is really ripping his serve. He had a great swing up in the front row. Now he's back really pumping his serve. He's playing a little harder than he did in game 1.
Vary loads it up, bumped up by Ulrich. Good ball for Ainsworth. And the short set is pounded down by Josh Stewart. So the Dons draw to within a point.
So with 2 starting middles injured, Coach Rumbaugh is just trying to find an answer in the middle and doesn't seem to quite have it just yet. It's hard to do.
Here's Ulrich with his serve, bumped up by Schultz. Set comes down the pipe, and coming up with the kill that time is Dave Riley. 11-9 red flashes. If you're just joining us, what Steve is alluding to is one of the starting middles. Pete Fryer went down with an injury about a week or so ago, done for the year. And then during the pre-match warm-ups, Patrick McManaman rolled an ankle. He was supposed to be a starter, and he's not playing. One-handed set that time by Ainsworth, but the Dons can't put it down. And neither can Dave Riley as he airmails that one well long. Point for IPFW draws the Dons to within 1 at 11-10. IPFW won the opener 30-22.
St. Francis missed an opportunity there. It was an easy dig, a good set, and just hit it long.
A little floater by Stewart. Flipped up by Rivette. Now a dink attempt that time by Riley, and it's just stuffed right back in his face by Ainsworth.
Yeah, it was a good idea by Riley, but Ainsworth is 6'8", and he jumps well at that. So you got to get it up and over if you're going to try and get over Ainsworth.
So 11-11, here's Josh Stewart, his little knuckle floater. And the short ball is set down the middle, but blocked is Zerko. They'll try it again. This time loading it up is Vary. And we had it down in the net. C.J. Macias is going to have a little visit with Patty Salvatore. But I'm sure you've been around coaching long enough, Steve. You can debate all you want with the official, and the official always wins the debate.
That's right. And is that any different than any other sport?
Nope.
And then you take an official like Patty Salvatore, who has officiated in international events and Olympics already, she's just not going to hear it.
Served by Zerko. Here comes Macias, and he bangs it that time. Off the arm of Rivette, but mishandling the ball that time is Riley. So the double hit gives the point to the Dons, and we are even at a dozen apiece. Graydon Ainsworth takes a look at the Dons bench to get the idea of the zone in which they'd like him to serve it. Comes kind of down the line, flipped up by Riley, and the set. Oh, what a great dig that time by Plisky off of the swing by Varee. They'll try it again. Can the Dons save it out of the net? No. Give the kill that time to City.
That was one heck of a dig by Plisky right there. That was a great swing down the line by St. Francis. Plisky was able to somehow get underneath it and pop it up. That's good to see because he's going to have to make a lot of digs like that tomorrow night. You can be sure against the #1 team in the nation.
And as Steve was alluding to earlier, Patty Salvatore, who's the up official, we talked about this, but if you're just joining us, she has had international experience. She received her assignment for the Beijing Olympics. Congratulations. Now a short ball is set to Cook, and Cook manages to wipe it off the block. 13-13, game number 2.
And don't look now, but Cook remains perfect. He's hitting 1,000. He's got 7 attempts and 7 kills. That's
some good
the
volleyball
connection the Dons need with the setter in the middles to be successful in the MIBAs.
Big serve by Macias, and there is a good pass, but missing everything was Nick Rivette. So the Dons go on top 14-13. This is a spot where Arnie Ball wants to see his team start reeling off some points and put the pedal down.
He's got a player hitting 1,000 in the front row, and he's got a player hitting 833 in the front row.
Now the set that time goes to Riley, and he's able to wipe it off the Dons block. So back and forth we go, even at 14, game number 2. There is a look at Dave Riley, the sophomore outside hitter from Yardley, PA.
He's picked up his game in this game as well. So St. Francis putting a little more effort in, taking some better, harder swings, and using the block a little more.
And the serve clips the top of the tape. Plisky there, though, to bump it up. Back set to Yost. Off the top of the block, and that'll be a kill for the X-Man. So Yost puts the Dons on top by 1, and rotating out is Plisky. Back in comes Josh Stewart, and we have a timeout on the floor. We will take this timeout. This is Mastodons Volleyball on CATV.
Pizza! Pizza! I must eat. Wait, what is this? Capsicum anum? Agaricus bisporus? Allium cepa?
Can we eat this?
Peppers, mushrooms, and onions. Eat your pizza, man.
Funny.
Indiana University, Purdue University, Fort Wayne. One university, 2 great names.
Oh, there's a young lady who is happy to get an IPFW bobblehead. Boy, those are collector's items. Good-looking crowd we have here at Gates. And, you know, Steve, I just took a glance at the statistics, and one of the things I think has been so good for IPFW from game 1 and now here about midway through game 2, they are really, really hitting well. And again, there's the look at the prior meeting back in early February. The Dons won the first 2 games against St. Francis, but they roared back to take the next 2, send it to 5. The Dons won it in the 5th. And again, we talked about this is one of the keys to the match. IPFW wants to get the lead, put the foot down, and not have to look in the rearview mirror. And there's a kill right off the top of the block by Nick Rivette. But again, you take a look at how well the Dons hit in game 1, how well they're hitting in game 2, and you can see why they've been playing well.
Yep, the Dons hit 615 in game 1, and on the match right now, they're hitting 585. To give you an idea, think of it as a baseball batting average. 300 is very good. 300 is where you want to be, and the Dons are hitting 585.
And that service error by Eric City gives the Dons a 16-15 advantage. And the rotation comes around to the big lefty, Jason Yost with the serve. Bumped up neatly by Schultz. Steele with the back set, and Varee hammers it off the Dons block, and give Varee another kill, and we're even at 16.
So Varee really picked up his level of his play in this game. Game 1, he had 2 kills. He now has 6, so 4 in this game. He's doubled his production, and his serve has been so, so tough.
Ulrich puts it down over the block right at the feet of Dave Riley. So the sidewinder with the kill. Dons go back on top by 1.
And that's an intangible right there. When you make a bad pass and you can still get the side out point, you've just sort of dodged a bullet, so to speak.
Big jump serve by Ulrich, bumped up by Schultz. Steele sets it right down the middle, but missing badly that time is Dave Riley. This might be what the Dons are looking for now. If they can get on that roll, they have the 2-point advantage of 18-16. And frankly, they have one of the guys they love in that serving spot, a very good server in Ulrich. Serve, little change of pace, that time bumped up by Rivette. And the set comes to Veree. Can the Dons dig it? No. Winds up being an overpass that's out of bounds. So Veree continues to be one of the go-to guys, especially here in game 2 for St. Francis.
It picks up his 5th kill of the game, and there you have, you look at the close score, and that's one of the differences right there. More production out of more players.
Back set goes to Yost. He dinks it down the line, bumped up that time by Rivette. Oh, a dink that time is dug by Plisky with a great dive. Can Macias put it down? Yes. Well, great defense turns into offense. What a play by Plisky, and the Dons go back on top by a pair.
And scrapping out that point gives the Dons a 2-point lead. And those are the little plays that are going to make a big difference in the match tonight and tomorrow night.
Now Josh Stewart, little floater, flipped up that time by Rivette. Here comes the set, and what a block by Ainsworth. Right back at Riley, Graydon Ainsworth, textbook blocking, dragging the ball back across.
So Riley, his last 2 attacks, has tried to tip over Ainsworth, and Ainsworth hung up in the air and put it down. He tried to hit cross court on Ainsworth, and Ainsworth put it down. So you might want to try another angle.
Stewart with the float serve sends Rivette to the floor, then flying out of the back row. Veree misses everything. Now it's 21-17, and you see Mike Rumbach creeping closer to the court.
I think he's thinking about calling a timeout.
Yep.
I thought I saw him look at the official.
Stewart, there's that little floater. Steele with the set to Riley, and Riley misses everything, and that will be the timeout. 22-17 IPFW as Mike Rumbach calls a timeout. We'll take a timeout. This is Mastodons Volleyball on CATV Sports.
Mom, Dad, you know we love kids, and I've made a decision that will totally change my life. Cameron's too. It's a huge responsibility, leading someone into, who knows, communication or science or math. That's what life's all about, right? Learning so you can pass on knowledge to younger minds. Dad, Mom, I want to be a teacher.
Indiana University, Purdue University, Fort Wayne. One university, 2 great names.
Well, there's a look right there of the center attack dug up by Plisky, and then Macias turning around. And scrapping out points like that is a big key to victory in any match. Anytime you can take lemons and turn them into lemonade, you're doing something well.
And Steve, that was a great replay because it showed one of my favorite plays. I believe that was the old pancake. That actually is a defensive move where a player, and it's often the libero, will dive to the floor, basically have the palm of his hand flat on the floor and flip the ball up with his backhand. That is an athletic play, one of my favorite in all of volleyball.
It's very frowned upon, though, by most volleyball coaches.
Stewart continues to serve. Riley gets it around the block of Ainsworth that time, so Dave Riley comes up with a much-needed kill both for St. Francis and for himself. Now 22-18, and entering the lineup is Tyler Matera. He replaces Doug Zerko, and Matera, a 5'10 sophomore libero out of Meadville, Pennsylvania, is in to serve. Little jumped curly floater popped up by Plisky. The set comes to Ulrich out of the back row, and he tried a dink, and the Dons got out of kilter, so the point will go to St. Francis, trimming the Dons lead to 22-19.
I'm not sure what player, but they called the Dons for under the net, stepping over the center line.
Matera again. Bumped up by Ulrich, the back set to Yost. The lefty is blocked by Riley, but the Dons have another chance. There's a bump up by Cook, free ball played over by Plisky. Matera, steal, and the short ball is hammered down by Eric City. And here come the red flashes. It's 22-20.
And the red flash are getting some production out of their middles when City is in the front row. Coach Rumbaugh trying Zurich in the front row, but they really haven't gone to him too much.
Well, it was kind of a short set, but Ollie Cook was able to wipe it off the block. Not a ton of pace on it, but you'll take it. 23-20.
And that is Ollie's 8th kill on 8 swings, so he's still batting 1,000.
Graydon Ainsworth to serve. His little floater tips the tape, bumped up by Riley. Set comes to Riley. Dug up by Ulrich. Ainsworth shoots it across. Macias is blocked that time by Mark Steele, the setter, with help from City. And it's 23-21.
And after the timeout, the Red Flash is slowly chipping their way back into this. They reduced their hitting errors since the timeout. They had 3 hitting errors in a row going into that timeout.
Steele's left-handed serve bumped up by Ulrich, and the Dons cannot get it over. That will be a point awarded to St. Francis. 23-22 is the Dons lead. And I'll tell you, Mark Steele, who came on as the setter in relief of Conley, has made an impact. Big left-handed serve, bumped up by Ulrich. The set comes to CJ, and CJ, oh, what a dig that time by Rivette. Rivette out of the back row, gets it over. Plisky with the pass. Short ball, and Ollie Cook says, hello. And he is still perfect on swing, Steve.
Well, not exactly. He got blocked the play before.
Oh, that's right.
So
there was the block. That's correct.
They stopped his hitting streak at 8, but he gets right back to business. 9 out of 10 swings. That's not too shabby. He's hitting 800.
Yeah, he'll take that every match.
Yeah. So will Coach Ball.
Now Macias gets a fresh volleyball. Dons leading 24-22. See what CJ can come up with. He likes the power serve. Oh, there it is. And he serves it wide. Ouch. The Dons' 5th service error closes the gap again to 1, and coaches loathe service errors, but especially late in games. Riley with the high toss. Serve is bumped up very well by Plisky. The set, and it's CJ out of the back row, puts it down. Little change of pace. Dons go on top, 25-23.
That's a great shot by CJ. Just takes a little something off it. Speaking in baseball terminology, that's like throwing a 90-mile-an-hour fastball and then throwing a 65-mile-an-hour changeup.
Dan McNerney is in to serve for the Dons. McNerney, little floater down the line, one-handed save, and well, Steele has a tough time fetching it out of the net. It winds up under the net. Now, would that go down as an ace?
It's all going to be up to the official scorekeeper, but you could say it would be an ace because they couldn't get a controlled second touch on the ball.
Importantly, it gives the Dons the 3-point advantage. McNerney again, bumped up by Riley. Steele sets it that time, and what a cut shot by Nick Rivette. He even does a little whoo. I think he was pretty happy because he was fading to the outside part of the antenna and managed to cut it across.
And that's a real tough swing when that ball gets set just outside the antenna. You've really only got one way to go with it, and the block knows it. So you're really hitting against, you really become predictable, and you're lucky if you can squeeze it through. But Rivette gets his 10th kill of the night and is the first Red Flash into double digits.
Seth Kadich is in to serve. Boy, there is a knuckleball if there ever was one. Macias handles it, back set to Yost. Yost off the top of the block, and that'll be another kill for Yost. 27-24 in favor of the Dons. They're 3 points away from taking the commanding 2-0 lead in this best 3 out of 5.
And Yost gets his 7th kill of the night, and he's hitting 700.
Yost with that sky-high toss, the big serve, bumped up that time by Varese. Steele runs it down and sets Rivette, and he wipes it off the Dons block. So, but the Dons did block it just a little bit wide. So now 27-25. Jordan Varese, there's a power serve, and he almost powers it onto Crescent Avenue. That was long, and a tough spot for the 4th service error by St. Francis.
And that's a bad break for the Red Flash because Varee's been running a lot of points off on his serve, and one of the reasons they're so close in this match, in this game.
Ulrich with the serve, bumped by Riley, the short ball, and it's flipped over that time by Doug Zerko. So now it's 28-26.
And that's a plus. They're getting offense out of a guy that I don't know that they expect too much offense out of. It's Zerko, who is the 6'3" middle, which is slightly undersized for a middle hitter in men's volleyball.
Alex Fortney checked in for St. Francis, as did Shane Conley. So I wonder if he'll go back to setting. Bumped up by Plisky. Short ball, and Stewart off the block, but saved by Schultz. Now here comes the set, and hammering it through the block. That time was Dave Riley. Plisky with an attempt to try to dig it, but couldn't. So, hello, it's 28-27. Dons have had to scratch and claw in this second game.
The good news is Graydon Ainsworth is up blocking on the right side, and if the Red Flash have to go outside again, he's had some good matchups against Riley so far.
Set comes to CJ. He goes to the left hand, but St. Francis keeps it alive. Riley through the block, a dig by Plisky, and I believe you had a Don either in or under the net. And take a look now, we have a 28-28 game in game number 2. And we have a timeout on the floor. So what we'll do, Steve, is we'll just keep it right here. As again, Arnie Ball wants to try to settle things down just a little bit. And 28 apiece. If you're just joining us, the Dons won game number 1 convincingly, 30-22. They seem to have this one in pretty good shape. But all of a sudden, it is 28 apiece. Well, I can tell you one thing, folks. You actually ought to come out and see some of these great events. For tickets to IPFW athletic events, you can call 260-481-6000. That's 260-481-6000. Or go to the IPFW athletics website at gomastodons.com. Basketball tickets, when you have basketball in season, are also available at the Coliseum box office. Now, this is an important thing. Discount packages always available in family 4-packs. We also have senior citizen Saturdays and bring your group to the hoop packages. And again, the Dons are really looking forward to an exciting 2008-2009 basketball season for both the men and the women. Next year, here's a coming attraction, Michigan State. The Spartans will be in Fort Wayne, as will Ball State University, the state rival, just about 60 miles down the road. But here, back to volleyball. Big serve by Rivette, Plisky with the pass. Ainsworth to Macias. CJ is blocked. Oh my, what a block by Fortney. And all of a sudden, USF, or I guess I should say SFU, has a game point.
And you know what? This has been a nice change by Coach Rumbaugh. He's put Fortney in as the setter, who's a taller setter and maybe a little bit of a better blocker, and it pays off there.
Here comes CJ again. This time there was no block.
Well,
oh, man.
Speaking of blocking, Fortney jumped with, I'm not quite sure who. It looked like he jumped with the middle hitter. That's really not his responsibility.
No. Well, and that thing left a torch mark on the floor. So a big point to keep it going. Mike Marisi is in to serve. His little floater flipped up by Rivette. Here comes the set, and Riley, does he hit it long?
He hits it outside the antenna.
Yep.
And that's about the third or fourth set to the outside for St. Francis that has gone way wide, really limiting the options of their outside hitters.
Well, now it's a game point for the Dons. Oh, a little floater that time by Marisi. Here comes the back set. And that time, oh my, Fortney is blocked by C.J. Macias. So the big swing comes up with the big block. And that is a big win for the Dons in game number 2 as they win it 31-29. IPFW now has a 2-0 lead over St. Francis in this best 3 out of 5. We'll take a break. You're watching Mastodons Volleyball on CATV Sports.
I guess I'm like most kids. I work hard, I go to class, and I want a degree that's going to mean something. I had offers from other universities, but I wanted the best out of my college choice. I wanted a great education and the campus life to go with it. Student housing, Division I sports, I found it all right here at IPFW. Hey, this is my university, my life, so it's got to feel right. I'm really glad I chose IPFW. I love it here. Go to their website.
Indiana University, Purdue University, Fort Wayne. One university, 2 great names.
What do triglycerides or trigs have to do to get noticed? Heart disease and stroke? Really? We should pay her more attention. Normal triglycerides are below 150. High triglycerides increase your risk of heart disease. And if you're a woman, that risk goes up even more. After standing in the shadows of good and bad cholesterol, triglyceride, also known as the forgotten fat, is ready to share the spotlight and the attention. Next time you have your cholesterol or blood fats tested, ask your doctor about the role triglycerides play in your heart health. Remember to ask your doctor about the good, the bad, and the forgotten fat. For more information on all of your blood fats, the good, the bad, and the forgotten, go to ForgottenFat.com. And remember, normal triglycerides are under 150.
This message brought to you by Sister to Sister, working together for healthy hearts.
Life is good. But with a master's degree from IPFW, it could be even better. You could land a promotion, earn more money, become a leader in your field. And IPFW makes it easy. With affordable tuition, night and weekend classes, and more than 20 graduate programs from business to education to public affairs and more. Become the master of your future. Indiana University, Purdue University, Fort Wayne. Your graduate university.
Gate Sports Center on the campus of IPFW, along with IPFW Associate Women's Head Coach Steve Florio. Kent Horman here on CATV. And Steve, as you saw the scoreboard up there, the Dons won Game 1 rather convincingly, 30-22. Game 2, a bit of a different story. St. Francis kept kicking and scratching and clawing. They actually had a game point, and the Dons managed to eke out the 31-29 victory. It's been maybe a tale of two different types of games, but the important thing is the Dons are up 2-0. We're in our intermission break right now, about 7 minutes remaining in that as the teams are gathering their respective thoughts in their locker rooms. But the important thing, Dons up 2-0. They've played very well.
Oh, they absolutely have. And one of the nice things on the night for the Dons is the connection that Graydon Ainsworth, the setter for the Mastodons, and Oliver Cook have had. He's a middle for the Dons, and that's something they're really going to want, again, to continue to work on running their middles tonight and even tomorrow night, because what really counts is what they can do in an MIVA tournament, and running their middles is going to really help by opening up their outside hitters. If they can lean on their middles enough, they're going to be able to go to their outside hitters and their right side hitters when they absolutely need to, because it's sort of like football. If you just only throw the ball, then they'll never protect against the run. And if you only run the ball, they'll never protect against the throw. So you need to, in football, run the ball and pass the ball somewhat evenly. And so same thing goes, if you can sort of run your middles in volleyball and then go high to your outsides, sort of back and forth, you keep the defense guessing.
Well, and clearly a situation some would think, okay, it's been, again, the roller coaster ride. Don's coming in at 12-12. Nothing on the line as far as these matches this weekend. Tonight with St. Francis of Pennsylvania, tomorrow night with Penn State, and it'll be exciting. The #1 team in the country, they only have one defeat. But there really is something on the line in these matches, because building a winning streak hasn't been that big a deal for IPFW this year. They have not had the ability to really reel off a bunch of wins. They would love to perform well in these two matches to prepare then for the MIVA tournament, which begins next week.
Absolutely, and this is a great opportunity to, with not too much pressure for worrying about seeding or anything like that, since the tournament is all set. You know, you said earlier it's been sort of an up and down season for them, and it has. At 12-12, it has been an up and down season. However, these last few matches, 2-3 weeks, they've been playing very, very strong volleyball and winning a good percentage of those matches.
Well, the teams are just about set to return to the floor. They'll warm up a little and we'll be ready for game number 3. The Dons lead St. Francis of Pennsylvania 2-0. When we come back in our intermission report, we'll check some of the statistics from the first 2 games. But right now, you are watching IPFW Volleyball on CATV Sports.
That book was all right.
You know, if she continues to spill product at a rate of 3 per hour, unit cost, say 60 cents. Factor in breakage, downtime, lost sales, you're looking at $2,400 a month. Indiana University, Purdue University, Fort Wayne. One university, 2 great names.
What's it like when you hear your calling? Will you remember where you were? Will you ignore it? Or will you listen? What if it calls you to go halfway around the world? To share your skills? To serve people you've never met? To do things you never thought you could? What will you do when you hear your calling? Peace Corps. Life is calling. How far will you go?
Highlights from this match so far, and again, the Dons just scoring points in all sorts of different ways.
Yep, and there you see Josh Stewart getting a kill. That's going to be important. I'd like to see him go to Josh Stewart more next game. Continue to work on that. See Brock Ulrich almost coming up with a dig. St. Francis popping it through a hole in the block. There's a middle hitter connection with Cook.
And again, I think that previous kill was Jordan Veree. He carried a lot of the load for St. Francis trying to get back into it. And then, of course, there's the big lefty.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, Jason Yost has been a pretty hot player lately.
Absolutely, coming through on that second set there. There's the tip that tried to go over Ainsworth, but he hung in the air too long. He was too big and too tall. And you see a back set touched up by, and there's a defensive effort the Dons have been giving. While that wasn't a point, they sent a message, we're going to try for everything. And here you have the Dons working out of system where Macias had a set from almost the end line, and they still were able to get the point. And that right there probably was one of the big differences in the match. And another out of system kill. They won by 2, and it was those sort of kills that made the difference.
And that was that great play, that pancake save, that time by Plisky. And again, you're seeing some of the points as well by the Red Flashes, because that was right in there.
Yeah, that was the game-winning point there on the block, and just 2 plays before that, Macias had gotten blocked. Got some stats up here, Kent.
Well, and it is kind of tight. The Dons leading in kills by 2, 37-35. Hitting percentage, though, the Dons are doing very, very well, 47.5 to 26.5. Assists are all even Steven at 33. The blocks are pretty close, 6 actually for the Red Flash to 4 for IPFW. And the Dons ahead of the Red Flash by 1 in digs, 13-12.
And I'll tell you, here we have you see the kill leaders here, and just look down at IPFW real quick. 997, and following right behind that is a couple other close ones, but you see the kill leaders for the Red Flash, Revette with 11, Buree with 8, Riley with 8. So that's a good spread out, but there's a drop off for St. Francis after that. The next closest player has 3 kills, whereas for the Dons, the next closest player is another player with 7 kills, and after that, a player with 5 kills. So the offense is really even and spread out for the Dons, and that's a big reason for that 45% on the hitting tonight.
You know, the fans are always happy to come to the Gates Center and watch Arnie's Army, and we are just about set to start. Game number 3, Dons would like to close it out in 3, and again, we gave you basically the final standings for the MIVA this year, and Ohio State wound up winning it with a 10-1 record, beating Ball State by a victory, as the Cardinals finished second with a record of 9-2. Lewis wound up 3rd, Loyola of Chicago wound up 4th, the Dons 5th, Quincy 6th, and Mercyhurst 7th. And again, if you're just joining us, IPFW begins MIVA tournament play on the road 1 week from tonight, as they will take on Loyola of Chicago in Chicago. Round 1 match, it'll be 7 o'clock Central Time, but that's 8 o'clock Fort Wayne time. And Arnie Ball has done it in the past. In fact, of all the trips he's made to the Final Four, I think most of them, if not all of them, he has won the MIVA tournament on the road. But the Dons would love to get some momentum going, starting tonight with the victory over St. Francis of Pennsylvania, and then tomorrow night, the #1 team in the country, the Penn State Nittany Lions, who won the EIVA, of which St. Francis is a member. All they did was 11-1 in the conference and 24-1 overall. In fact, their lone loss was to George Mason. So as we start game number 3, some changes for the Dons. Steve Rogers starts out with the serve, Steele with the set, and there is Veree, and he hammers it right down the line. So the first point of game number 3 goes to St. Francis.
And Veree picks up right where he left off, playing much better volleyball in game 2 than he did in game 1.
Jordan Veree, the high toss. He loads up the serve. Dug up but overpassed by a diving Macias, and that'll sail out of bounds, so that will be an ace for Veree. It is the second for St. Francis, who go on top 2-0.
And Red Flash really been capitalizing off of Veree's serve. See if he can keep it going. Dons have been doing a nice job of stepping up and passing a tough serve, though.
You know, the ball gets loose briefly, and it'll be tracked down. So Jordan Veree set to serve it up again. Flips the tape, it bumped up by Ulrich. The back set goes to Yost, and the big lefty just torches it to the floor. Jason Yost picking up where he left off.
And that's a great set by Graydon Ainsworth. That's what we call setting against the flow or setting against the grain. He's moving to his left, but he kicks the ball back to the right and catches the block shifting the wrong way.
And Yost just rips it that time off the arm of Rivette. That'll be an ace to tie it up 2-2, and I was about to give this stat. That is the Dons' first ace. They have 5 service errors. St. Francis has a couple of aces and 4 service errors.
And it's a slightly deceiving stat because the Dons have been serving tough.
Yes.
And while they haven't been aces, they've been things like that, overpasses.
And flipped to the floor that time by Josh Stewart, down going top 3-2.
Yeah, and there's no official statistic for something like an overpass. It just goes down as a kill for the hitter, but doesn't indicate that how the kill was made. And that was obviously a direct result of the good serve.
Which there was not that great a serve.
Also a direct result.
Yost commits the error, the 6th of the Dons, and it will be Nick Rivette, the 6'4" sophomore outside hitter from Pittsburgh. And, oh, that was going to go out, but the Dons played it, so the back set goes to Yost. He pounds it through the net. Varese saves it, bumped up by Steele. Here comes Verrett. Off the top of the Dons block, bumped up by Marisi. Ainsworth, short ball to Stewart. That's blocked. Now a chance for St. Francis. The set, and that time, hammering it off the block that time was Chad Martson. And Jason Yost thought the Dons blocked that inbounds, but Patty Salvatore says no.
And that's another change, by the way, for the Dons is Marisi in the libero jersey over Plisky.
There's a big serve as Macias peels it off the floor. Set comes to Ulrich. Ulrich loads it up, gets it through and down. So give Brock the kill, 4-4.
And Marisi, the older of the 2 liberos for the Dons, was the libero when the Dons first went to the Final Four 3 years ago. 2 years, I guess you could say 2 years ago. In a way, it's 3 years ago, though.
Yep. Ulrich with the service error. He serves it long. So the 7th error committed by the Dons.
Marisi suffered an ACL injury at the beginning of last year, so didn't play at all last year. And this year he's been in and out of the jersey because Plisky himself is quite good.
And there's the short ball set down the middle for the Albatross, Josh Stewart.
And if you're a Mastodon fans, that's what you want to see. You want to see Josh Stewart heating up going into the playoffs.
Yeah, hopefully the end of April is Josh Stewart time and IPFW time. Schultz bumps up the short serve. There's a big swing that time by Martz, and Dons get a piece. And the set that time goes to Steve Rogers. It's in his neighborhood, so he puts it down. Dons go on top, 6-5.
So Cook, who was having the great night, is out. Nice move by Coach Ball. He's working his depth on his roster because he might need it come playoffs.
Stewart serves that one sideways. So that error will tie game number 3, 6-6. And the Dons now have 8 service errors. Arnie Ball will take him, though, when you're getting some aces. Left-handed serve by Steele, clips the tape. One-handed diving save, but it can't be fished out of the net. Ulrich dove to the floor, and Ainsworth couldn't quite dig it out of the net. And that should be an ace.
The acceptable ratio for errors to aces is 2 errors for every 1 ace in men's volleyball. That's sort of a standard.
Mark Steele goes with that big left-handed serve. Marisi manages to pop it up. A bit of a run for Ainsworth. Macias loads it up off the top of the block, and CJ collects the kill. 7-7 game 3. The Dons took the opener 30-22. They won game 2 in a nip and tuck tilt, 31-29.
It's nice to see CJ playing with so much confidence. He's a great player, had a rough start to the season, and was sort of down on himself.
Well, that time Varee is blocked by Yost with help from Rogers. And now the Dons go ahead 8-7. Steve Rogers seems like he can come off the bench and give a spark, especially at that blocking position. Ainsworth floater flipped up that time by Rivette. Back set goes, and the swing by Martson is dug by the Dons. Set comes across to Macias. He just plays kind of a change of pace, flipped up by Varee. And the set that time, can they save it? Yes, Rivette. The Dons have to play a little ping pong, but they get it over. Coming down the middle is City. The Dons overpass it. City with the left hand. Dons overpass it again, and this time Varee puts it down. Well, if at first don't you succeed, try, and try again.
And, you know, while the Dons don't win the point, that scrappy defense, again, sends a message that St. Francis is just going to have to make it a little better, and that sometimes can lead to errors.
Float serve by Martin is overpassed, but St. Francis can't put it down. Set goes to Macias. He's blocked, but it's out of bounds as that time Merrick City couldn't swing the hands across, so give the kill to Macias. Dons go on top, 9-8.
And we're going to have a discussion between the up official and down official right now. The argument on the court is that Graydon Ainsworth, who is a setter and is back row, jumped to block on that play, and you're not allowed to do that if you're a back row player. And that's what they're discussing now. Yes, in fact, they're saying he was over the net.
So they're going to have a reversal, which I believe then would make it 9-8 in favor of St. Francis. So we'll have to see if they change this. Well, they're going to have to because Chad Martin's about to serve. So that will make it 9-8 in favor of St. Francis. There is a reversal, an alert call that time by the down official, Dave Sines. So now it's 9-8 red flashes. Float serve, floats long. So 9 apiece on the 5th error by the red flashes.
And you know, that's some nice officiating there. Even though it didn't go the Dons' way, you want to see officials at least work to get it right. And they were able to listen to Coach Rumbaugh and then make the change.
Back set goes to Varee. The Dons get a piece. Marisi flips it up. Ainsworth. Yost drills it off the block. Well, Yost had so much momentum, he wound up celebrating on the other side of the net, but...
Okay, so the call there, and why Yost sort of looks puzzled, is because...
Did he land under the net?
Well, he was in the net and under the net, and if the ball hits the ground and then you hit the net, you're okay. But what they're saying is the ball was still in play while he hit the net.
So again, a point goes to St. Francis. Ainsworth with the one-handed set, but he had to try to play it over in the St. Francis side. So here come the red flashes with a 2-point advantage, 11-9. Eric City, the 6'8" freshman middle from Clarence, New York. Here comes Ulrich, and that time they try to dig it, but Martin just has it sail off a forearm, long and wide. The Dons close to 11-10.
And that pass by C.J. Macias was sort of an unconventional, interesting pass, and that's actually something you see a little more probably in beach volleyball, and it just goes, you see that Macias is quite a beach volleyball player.
Well, that time Rogers with a great serve. It was overpassed, and Josh Stewart was there to light it up like a Roman candle. Quickly, the Dons back even, 11-11, and this game now is mirroring game 2 quite a bit. Rogers again, the knuckle floater, bumped up by Martin. Set comes across, and that time Rivette gets it down as he just pounds it into the body of Graydon Ainsworth.
Rivette gets his 12th kill of the night, and he's hitting .435. He's really a bright spot for the red flash. He's doing a nice job of mixing up his attack and getting a good amount of line kills.
Varee with the big serve. Macias is able to play it up. Here comes Yost, and it's a dink, and it's a dandy, but it's kept alive. Set comes to Rivette, and he gets it in the deep corner. What a play that time by Nick Rivette. It's back to a 2-point lead for St. Francis.
Another shot down the line for Rivette. He's having some good luck hitting down that way.
Well, that was a sky-high toss by Varee, and he just drills the bottom of the net. Service error puts the Dons within a point again, and that is service error number 6 on the red flashes. Jason Yost, he likes to bring some rain with that toss, and he serves that one long, so I don't think the coaches would think it's a comedy, but it's kind of a comedy of service errors right now.
You want to see, you're seeing some frustration now on the Dons' faces. They're a little unhappy with some of the officials' calls, and now they're starting to play a little too much emotional, and it's showing on the court.
The overpass by Macias, but St. Francis can't convert, and boy, does Ulrich? No. They were looking for a tip, but no, as that time Brock sailed that one long, and all of a sudden, it's 15-12 in favor of St. Francis. Now we have an official's timeout right now. So as we take a timeout, and the teams are going to talk things over a little bit. We will take a timeout and take a break. This is Mastodons Volleyball on CATV. Well, I guess we'll keep it right here. And again, Arnie Ball is going to try to settle his team down because they clearly want to end this one in 3. And once again, we'd like to thank tonight's game sponsor, 816 Pint and Slice, located at 816 South Calhoun Street in Fort Wayne. For fine pizza and drinks, it's 816 Pint and Slice.
Yeah, the Dons have gotten some calls that they didn't necessarily agree with, and they've sort of gotten angry. They're playing a little emotional right now, and they're getting a little out of control. They're making more hitting errors than typical right now for this match, and the serve receive is breaking down. They just need to settle down, get back to where they were in games 1 and 2, and they'll be all right.
Well, the coaches have had their say, and the team's coming back to the floor. They took the official timeout here in game 3 when a team reached 15 points. And it will be now Nick Rivette. Spins the ball, the high toss, and his serve bumped up by Ulrich. Good pass. Comes the set. CJ out of the back row. Hammers it off the top of the block and near the bleachers. So there's 1 point recovered by IPFW. Another kill from Macias. Dons draw to within 15-13.
That was an excellent pass to be able to set up that play set. And that was a nice job of coming out of timeout and reacting.
Ulrich's serve is dug up by Schultz. Short ball is set, and the Dons are keeping the ball alive. Flipped over that time by Yost. Steele will set it up. Martson, and just blisters that one off the arm of Ulrich. So all of a sudden, Chad Martson, who checked in game 3, makes his presence felt. 16-13 red flashes. Brief timeout while they wipe up some of the perspiration on the floor. That will happen. And there is a service error, so the Dons again draw to within 16-14. That is error number 7.
Back in comes Steve Rogers, who had a nice run through the front row with a block and a kill.
Oh, and there's an ace by Josh Stewart. He put the floater right down the line. Schultz thought it would go wide. That is an ace for Stewart, the Dons' second. And now they're back to within a point at 16-15.
And that's a bonus because I don't know that they especially look for aces out of Josh Stewart's jump float. So when you can get one like that, that's great.
Martson airmails that set. So the Dons, who are down by 3, have quickly reeled off 3 straight points. Oh, they must have called a touch on that.
What they did is they called Graydon Ainsworth in the net on the block.
17-15 then it is. Serve is bumped up by Ulrich. Flying out of the back row is Yost, and he just buries the ball. That time into Rivette. So now the Dons again back within a point at 17-16. And here comes Ainsworth with his little floater, flipped up by Rivette, who goes to the floor. Back set comes to Martson. Martson tries a dink and mishandles it. So that hitting error will make it 17-17. And Ainsworth will try to put the Dons back on top. Puts a little more pace in it, flipped up by Rivette. Steele sets it down the middle, and that time Eric City got underneath that swing, and he lost control of that, so that swing error will give the Dons the 18-17 lead.
You know, and clearly the lack of the starting middles for St. Francis is taking its toll a bit, as they've really not been able to get much going out of the middle and making their offense predictable.
Steele that time to Jordan Varee, and he manages to get the wipe-off kill. 18 apiece now.
Varee and Rivette have done a nice job of shouldering the load, though, that's for sure, as Varee picks up his 11th kill. So both outside hitters for the Mastodon, for the Red Flash, 13 and 11 kills apiece.
Chad Martson with the knuckle floater, and that way the overpass by Marisi resulted in an awkward set by Ainsworth, and Rogers couldn't do much with it. So now 19-18 in favor of St. Francis. And there is a service error, that time committed by Martson. So that evens things up, and the service errors are now piling up to the Red Flash. They have 8, the Dons have 9. St. Francis leads in the ace department 3-2, and the big swing. C.J. Macias spins the ball, the high toss, the serve is bumped up by Martson. Steele a bit of a run, and that time the swing by Rivette is dug. They can play it out of the net. Big bump set that time by Marisi, and a dink that finds nothing but open floor by Yost. Crafty move by Yost. but I think some miscommunication by St. Francis.
Yeah, that's a ball that's got to be dug if you're St. Francis. Nice job by Marisi playing a nice high ball out of that curtain. That's not easy to do, and making a hittable, attackable ball out of that. Nice job.
Macias bumped up by Martson. Steele back sets. There's Vary, and Vary puts it down. 20-20, and here come a couple of substitutions as back in is Doug Zerko and Tyler Matera. Matera will come in to serve for St. Francis. Now, you're an alum of St. Francis, yes?
That's right.
Whereabouts in Pennsylvania is St. Francis?
It's in Loretto, Pennsylvania, a tiny little town with one stop sign and no stop lights, at least when I was there.
They may have two now, eh?
maybe 2 stop signs.
Well, Rogers managed to get the ball through the block, and it's 21-20 in favor of the Dons.
It was a beautiful campus, though. I fell in love with it when I visited and was happy to be a part of the team. And I had a great experience, would never change it.
Rogers bumped up by Schultz. Back set comes to Vary. Vary is blocked that time by Ulrich. Another chance. Back set goes to Vary again. And this time he gets it down. Well, more and more, Jordan Vary is starting to carry the load for the Red Flashes. It's 21 apiece in game 3.
And Vary, who's been the toughest serve for St. Francis, is back again. See if he can run off a few more points for his team.
Big serve by Vary. Macias tight to the tape, and they just have to play a free ball over. Chance for Red Flashes. And there is a call.
The call, it's the same call that happened earlier in the game. What they're saying is, yeah, Graydon is back row. He would jump up, and what Patty Salvatore is saying is that the ball was in the plane, which means that he's not allowed to play that ball.
So the big serve that time by Vary results in an error. Back and forth we go on the seesaw. It's 22 apiece. And now the errors are even at 9 apiece. And let's see what Jason Yost will come up with. He heaves the big sigh, and he also heaves the big toss. And the serve bumped up by Matera. They set Rivette. He gets it through the block, and they can't get the ball. As that time Macias tried to dig it, but it flailed off a forearm. And a couple of Dons, I think, wind up in your crew. Isn't that a bunch of the women's volleyball team sitting over there?
It is. Well, I'll tell you, all things considered, St. Francis is doing a great job. Their outside hitters, in particular, are doing a great job because Mastodons know it's not going to the middles.
Short ball is set to Stewart, but he plays a change of pace. Now Matera gets it through the tape and down, and that'll be a kill by Tyler Matera. And all of a sudden, 24-22, St. Francis.
Oh, and there's an intangible right there. A kill out of your 5'10" DS is a big break to open up the lead a little bit.
Rivette loads it up and just barely peeled off the floor by Ulrich. Macias out of the back row, dug by Matera. Back set goes to Vary, and Vary hits it long. Oh, it was a great opportunity for St. Francis, but Vary missed it, and the Dons again creeped within a point.
Got a good blocking lineup here right now for the Dons, and again, the Dons know it's not going to go to a middle hitter most likely, so they're just going to have to step up and probably play defense on Martson.
Overpass that time by Matera, but a save by a diving Vary. Ainsworth back sets for Yost, and Yost just pounds it right off the body of Vary, and Yost with the kill evens things up at 24 apiece. And one of the better Dons servers, Brock Ulrich, is set to go to try to give the Dons the lead. Big serve. And there's an overpass. It, well, winds up. That'll end up being an ace because it wound up in the speaker system.
And I don't think there's home court advantage. St. Francis not used to the speakers overhead and expecting that ball to go over, hits the speakers and lands. Great serve by Ulrich, by the way, forcing that.
And here comes the sidewinder again. This time Matera bumps it up. Steele sets it for Martson. Martson to the floor with authority through Ainsworth and Josh Stewart.
And again, just to compliment the outside hitters of St. Francis, everyone on the floor knows where the ball's going to be set because they're not using their middles very much at all. St. Francis is very predictable offense, and still somehow they're getting the job done.
Seth Kadich checked in along with City. There's a little floater bumped up by Marisi. They back set for Yost. Yost wipes it off the block that time of Martson and City. 26-25. Marisi out, Stewart out. Steve Rogers and Dan McNerney in for the Dons. And McNerney, again, a bit of a serving specialist. He can serve one of those confusing little floaters.
And by the way, a few big swings by Jason Yost puts him back up to 6'11" on the night in his hitting percentage.
Well, there's a bump up that time by Kadich, but how about City right down the middle, and City puts it down 26-26. So here come Josh Stewart and Marisi back in for.
And that's City's 4th kill. So again, a rare kill for the middles. Something we haven't seen much out of St. Francis. See if Yost gets another set here. He's the hot hand right now.
Ainsworth to Macias. Macias goes to the left hand, and that'll be 4 hits, so that'll be a kill for CJ. 27-26, and there was a little change of pace because Josh Stewart actually did not come back in. He went back to the bench, and Steve Rogers stayed in.
Yep.
So Ainsworth looks at the Dons bench. What zone would they like him to serve it toward? Bumped up, and it's an overpass, and Macias says good night. Oh, what a critical overpass by Rivette. 28-26 in favor of IPFW, and Mike Rumbaugh wants a timeout. Well, you can learn more about Mastodon Sports by tuning into the Mastodon Spotlight each Wednesday and Friday on College Access Television. Host Mike Moss will review recent IPFW sports activities. You'll check out some game footage, and you'll have visits with the coaches and players. Look for Mastodon Spotlight Wednesdays at 6:30 p.m. or 7:30 p.m. and Fridays at 6:30 p.m. on College Access TV. Well, the Dons now 2 points from the match.
And the arms are live right now for the Dons. CJ is pumping it. And Yost is just flying high and swinging hard. And by the way, I don't think Yost even knows what the word pressure means, by the way.
And I think we know that lady. Well, she's enjoying herself. And that, of course, is Sandy Ball, the wife of IPFW head coach Arnie Ball. And there is, in a nutshell, Sandy Ball. She always has a smile on her face. I don't think she ever misses a match. And well, they always say behind every good man, there's a good woman. And nothing could be more true than Sandy Ball, who has supported Arnie throughout his career, and great family as well. Now Steele down the middle, and City gets it down off the arm of Ainsworth. 28-27, the Dons still lead by 1, but as the saying goes, this Red Flash team is by no means ready to go quietly into the night. And now all of a sudden Arnie Ball wants to make a quick change as out comes Plisky, who was in a role other than libero. Brock Ulrich comes back in. Marisi is now still the libero. Chad Martin with a little floater, bumped up by Marisi. Good pass. Set, and it comes to CJ, but he is blocked by City with help from Rivette with a critical block by St. Francis.
And City has really stepped up in this rotation. He's got 2 kills and a block in the last few plays.
Here comes Martin with his little floater. Knuckles. Macias plays it. Ainsworth will set it across. Yost with the left hand off the top of the block. Oh, he just flails at it. And he hit it out of bounds.
But Ulrich runs away from the play limping, and that's not something you want to see with the MIVA playoffs coming off
and now,
in a week.
A game point for St. Francis when the Dons at one point led 28-26. Floater by Martin, and that'll be an ace. Oh my, what a great serve that time. So an ace by St. Francis, their 4th, gives them the victory, 30-28. And we will go to game number 4 as St. Francis kind of stuns the Dons here in game 3, 30-28. Dons still lead 2 games to 1. We'll be back with game number 4. You're watching Mastodon Volleyball on CATV.
Excellence lives here in northeastern Indiana. It's reflected in more than 200 nationally recognized degrees. It drives our Division I sports. It's alive in our campus life. Excellence has a name, IPFW. Around our campus, around the country, around the world. Excellence lives here. Indiana University, Purdue University, Fort Wayne. One university, 2 great names.
Power's out, but your food safety plan is on. Don't open the fridge. Foods will be safe for up to 4 hours if the door stays closed. Keep the freezer shut too. If it's full, the food will stay frozen for about 2 days. When power returns, make sure freezer foods have ice crystals and check fridge foods with a food thermometer to make sure they're at 40 degrees or below. If not, or if there's any doubt, throw it out. Learn more at www.askkaren.gov. or call the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Meat and Poultry Hotline at 1-888-MP-HOTLINE.
Salam.
Jam.
Salam. Ewa.
Ride. Apa? Pa.
Mir. Shanti. Yep, Changyok.
We all want the same thing.
Peace.
And Rotary clubs
Solva.
are making it happen. Through international scholarships for young people to promote peace and understanding around the world. Rotary. Humanity in motion.
Get the inside set on the hard-hitting, high-flying IPFW men's volleyball program each Thursday, Friday, and Saturday on College Access Television. Coach Arnie Ball and Coach Mark Franke bring you scores and highlights, talk about the matches, the competition, and introduce you to a player or special guest. It's the Arnie Ball Show, Thursdays at 7:30 p.m., Fridays at 6:30 p.m., and Saturdays at noon on College Access Television. IPFW Associate Women's Head Coach Steve Florio, Ken Foreman here on CATV. We come to you from the Hilliard Gate Sports Center on the campus of IPFW, and in tonight's volleyball match, visiting St. Francis of Pennsylvania trails the Dons 2-1. The Dons won the first 2, but St. Francis came back to take game number 3, 30-28. This after the Dons led 28-26, so a good rally by the Red Flashes.
Yep, and following a similar pattern, as a matter of fact, to the last time these two teams met up out at St. Francis, where the Dons took games 1 and 2, and St. Francis took game 3 and 4. So far, it's going the exact same way.
Well, the Dons will be moving from right to left as you watch us here on CATV5. Getting set to go as they get the lineups. And Dave Sines will toss the ball out to Eric City, and he will start serving for St. Francis to begin game number 4. Don't forget, number 1 Penn State comes to the Gate Center tomorrow night. 7 o'clock first serve. Steve will be on the call along with Ryan Elijah. And boy, what a bad start for St. Francis as City serves it deep into the bottom of the net. 1-0 IPFW. Service error number 10 for the Red Flash. Now Yost, the high toss, and he returns the favor with the service error. Ouch. And that is the 10th service error on the Dons, so we are 1-1 in game number 4. Jordan Veree, who's been a force for St. Francis, his serve is bumped up by Macias. Ainsworth, the short ball, and Stewart smokes it to the floor. 2-1 in favor of IPFW. And I believe the Dons feel, okay, guys, this has been a bit of a match now. We better close this thing out in 4. And there is number 4, Ulrich with the serve. Bumped up by Martson, but flipped over very neatly by Steele. The setter pulls the surprise party. And that actually goes down as a kill. It's 2-2.
Absolutely, and he's just sort of got a knack for it. Good timing. That gives him an 800 hitting percentage, 4 kills on 5 attempts.
Nick Gravette with a lollipop type of serve. Ainsworth will set it, and C.J. Macias misses everything.
And swinging for high hands, what that means is he's trying to hit just the fingertips of the block and get it to go skipping deep out of bounds.
So 3-2 St. Francis, and Rivette will continue to serve. Big toss, bumped up by Macias. Ainsworth, short ball is floated over by Stewart. Steele will back set. Rivette doesn't get much on it, but it hits the tape and finds open floor. And now all of a sudden we have a 4-2 game in favor of St. Francis.
St. Francis has picked up some momentum. Dons need a good pass here and a big kill to sort of shut it down.
There was a good look at Mike Marisi, the libero for the Dons. Rivette bumped up neatly by Ulrich. And Stewart torches it to the floor deep in the back row.
That was just what the doctor ordered. It was a great, great pass by Ulrich. And an even better set by Ainsworth to Josh Stewart, who, again, we just want to see production out of him heading into the playoffs.
Little floater by Josh. Flipped up by Rivette. Back set. There's Veree, and he just blisters it off the arm of Yost for the kill. 5-3 St. Francis. If we do go to a game number 5, It'll be first team to 15 win by 2. Zerko with a little bit of a floater. Here comes Macias, and CJ blasters that one to the floor. 5-4, the Dons trail by 1.
Getting some big kills as a momentum stopper. Again, not going to let St. Francis pick up any more momentum, try and build it themselves.
And there's a swing off the top of the block by Rivette, so give Rivette another kill. Boy, I thought Steele may have gotten away with a little bit of an awkward set, but
yeah,
you get a little more, a few more liberties with the setter position, I think, anymore.
Yeah.
Steele left-handed serve.
Good pass.
Back set to CJ. Oh, what a block. One-on-one. Macias is blocked by Chad Martson. And now it's 7-4 in favor of the Red Flashes. So the Dons have to find that next gear because clearly St. Francis has. Mark Steele. Big lefty serve. Dug up by a diving Marisi. Here comes Yost, and Yost, I don't even think that was blocked. I think he hit it deep into the net, and now all of a sudden 8-4 St. Francis. And you wonder if Arnie Ball might be entertaining taking a timeout here. Steele, the serve bumped up by Macias. Ainsworth sets the short ball. Rogers is blocked. Dons keep it alive. Macias has to set it. Does for Yost. And Yost manages to wipe it off a 3-man block, so that'll at least stop the point streak by St. Francis. Dons closed within 8-5, and here comes Ollie Cook back in.
Yeah, and when Ollie Cook left the match, he had 9 kills on 10 attempts, so this is going to bolster the offense a bit, most likely, for the Dons.
Macias bumped up. Good bump by Schultz. Wasn't a very good set. Bree has to play a free ball over. Ainsworth back sets. Yost off the block and down for the kill. Dons draw to within 8-6, and now it's kind of a fidgety Mike Rumbaugh, the coach of St. Francis, who might be thinking, am I going to have to call a timeout?
Well, great job of the Dons on capitalizing on that pretty much what was a free ball, and they need to not let any of those slip away at this point, being behind.
Varee says take that as he smokes that around Cook and also Yost. So it's back to a 9-6 advantage for St. Francis. And Chad Martson, the 6'3 sophomore outside from Whitehall, Pennsylvania, who's come in late in the match and contributed. Little float serve. It comes to Ulrich, and Ulrich wipes that off the block. Give Brock the kill. Dons draw to within 2. Marisi out, and Josh Stewart back in, and Oliver Cook. The freshman, 6'6", 195-pounder out of Hamburg, Germany. A pretty solid freshman year. He likes that little pop-up floater. Kind of handcuffs Martz in a bump set, and Varee hits it into the net. So that'll be 4 hits on St. Francis. Dons creep to within 9-8. At one point, they trailed 8-4. Cook, that floater down the line, awkwardly flipped up. Here it comes. And the Dons block it, but out of bounds, so a wipe-off kill goes to Rivette.
Rivette picks up his 17th kill of the match, and he sort of hung in the air a while and just took a good hack at it, tooled the block.
And now here comes City. Snaps the floater over, bumped up by Ulrich. Back set to Yost. Yost with a big swing and the kill in the back of the court. So the Dons again moved within 1 at 10-9, and it'll be that man, the reigning Midwest Intercollegiate Volleyball Association Player of the Week. Second time this year Josh has won the award. Well, he lights up that serve. Steele to Rivette, and they block him. What a great block by Josh Stewart. Help from Ainsworth, and we are even at 10.
And the Dons doing a nice job of turning that ball in and not getting tooled again.
Comes Yost. Oh, what a big serve, but a nifty bump up by Schultz. Short ball is set, and that time that'll be a wipe-off kill by Doug Zerko.
So it looks like St. Francis has made a decision to try and use their middle hitters a little more, as they, in crucial moments in Game 3, went to their middles and now are trying to run them here.
Jordan Varee, oh, and commits a bad service error there, 11-11. That is service error number 11. When I say a bad service error, he served that ball so low, it barely got the bottom of the net. And here comes Brock Ulrich to serve for the Dons. And that's an overpass by Martson.
Opportunity.
Yost. And the set go would have saved that time by Rivette. There's a little bit of a collision. Stewart can't put it away. Bumped up by Martson. Free ball played out of the back row, and it's played too long. And boy, you got them totally out of system that time, Steve, and that created the error by St. Francis. So the Dons go on top, 12-11.
Some nice blocking by the Dons there. I mean, they didn't go to the ground, but it sort of definitely caused enough confusion.
Now here comes Ulrich again. Big serve and just long. Oh, that was oh so close. But 12-12, and the Dons now have service error number 11. And it'll be Nick Rivette to serve it up. Bumped up by Ulrich. Good ball for Ainsworth to handle. The short ball. That time Stewart is dug up, and it's an overpass. Stewart tries again. Dug up again by Schultz. Steele coming out of the back row and getting the wipe-off kill is Rivette. This St. Francis team just will not go away, and it's 13-12, red flashes.
Well, look for the Dons. What they need to do now is settle down and pass the ball. Their service receive, which was very good early on, is broken down just a bit. See if they can get it back on track. Not there.
They battle at the net. Another chance, and that time Martson misses everything. So that was a good couple of blocks by the Dons to keep them alive, and they are awarded with the point. It's 13-13, and back and forth we go.
Yeah, a few of at least 3 of the points in the last few have been as a result of the Dons blocking, so that's good to see it coming to life.
Schultz with another decent pass, and that time Doug Zerko gets the wipe-off kill. 14-13, St. Francis.
You know, even though they've gotten tooled a few times, the good news is they're getting hands on just about every attack and not letting the red flash squirt through any holes or anything.
Macias answers with the big pound off the top of the St. Francis block, and again we're back on that seesaw, 14 apiece. And Graydon Ainsworth will serve for the Dons. Graydon likes that little floater, and it's into the net. Well, that'll make it 15-14 in favor of St. Francis as the Dons commit another serving error. And the latest Mastodon scores and stats are available on the World Wide Web at www.gomastodons.com. You can check up on the teams, players, order tickets at the official Mastodon Athletics website. Again, that is gomastodons.com. And that was an absolute brilliant creation by IPFW's Director of Media Relations, Rudy Jovich, who I think worked for the better part of 4 or 5 months to get that thing up and running. And now the Mastodons have their own dedicated athletics website. And that thing gets several thousand hits per day. And you can take any of the sports at IPFW fields on both the men's and women's side and get all the latest updated information on the IPFW athletics website, gomastodons.com. Well, 15-14 now as we're about the midway point of game number 4. Dons won the first game 30-22. They took game 2 31-29. Red Flashes came back to win 30-28. There's a couple of the Dons fab freshmen, Zach Plackemeier and Ben Botts from the men's basketball team. Steele with the serve. Passed up neatly by Marisi. Back to CJ, and CJ rips it through the block. Martson and City couldn't shut down CJ, and it's 15-15.
CJ had a one-on-one situation there and did the right thing, put it around the block.
Now a big serve is bumped up. Here comes the set. And Varee, oh, the Dons dig it. It's an overpass, but at least they get the dig. Steele with an awkward back set, and that time it was an overpass to boot. And Ulrich puts it down. The Dons go ahead by 1.
Great dig by Ulrich to keep the play alive. That was a ricochet off the block, and almost always those turn out to be kills. So great dig by Ulrich. Gives the Dons a lead.
Macias with the serve. Bumped up by a diving Martson, and that time, oh, that's a great block by the Dons, but another save that time. by the Red Flashes. Yost is blocked by Varee. Oh, and Varee wants a little bit of love from the crowd here because that was a sensational block.
He's not at home, though, so I don't think he's going to get it.
Nope, if he was looking for the standing O, I don't think so.
He did look around like he was going to get some applause on that one.
It was a sensational block. Tied at 16, and now there is a service there committed by Martson. 17-16 in favor of IPFW. Errors are now even at 12 apiece. And the serve by Ollie Cook. Set for Rivette, and Rivette gets it in the deep far corner.
So Rivette picks up his 19th kill, and he just hangs up there, and then swings, and by the time he swings, the block is actually falling. I've been trying to figure him out all night, and I think I finally got it.
Tyler Matera with his little curly floater, and it's an ace. The flag man put down ace. And the Dons cannot believe it. Oh, Mike Marisi is not pleased at all. And C.J. Macias will go have a conversation with Patty Salvatore. But again, guess who always prevails in that debate? The ace makes it 18-17 in favor of St. Francis. Fifth ace for the Red Flashes. There's a little floater flipped up by Stewart. Ainsworth back sets. And smearing it off the top of the block is Yost. So, hello, 18 apiece.
And that's an important kill because in game 3, I felt like the Dons got sort of out of sync when they felt they got a couple bad calls turned on them. And so they can't let that happen. They need to keep their cool and keep playing, and that's what Yost just did there.
Matera bumps up the big Yost serve, and Varee going down. Boy, did he ever light that one up. 19-18 St. Francis, and we talk about the great match Nick Rivette has had, so has his running mate, Jordan Varee. Takes a quick look at the ceiling. The high toss, the serve bumped up by Macias. It's an overpass. Chance for St. Francis, but Zerko can't put it down, but it comes back on the Don side, and that'll be a point awarded to St. Francis as the Dons came on the other side of the net to play the ball, and I believe didn't get it on the correct side of the antenna.
What Graydon was trying to use was what's called the pursuit rule, but the dig went back through the middle of the antennas, so Graydon really is not allowed to pursue that ball, and so he gets called for an under.
And it's an ace for Varee. The Dons, that time Macias Marisi let it go, and again, maybe a little confusion or miscommunication. And now 21-18 St. Francis on ace number 6.
But again, emotions are starting to run high on the Mastodon side. They're getting frustrated, and that sort of was a problem for them last game.
Well, that time, a little too much pepper by Varee. That is a service error. And the Dons creep to within 2 at 21-19. Ulrich, a little change of pace, diving to the floor as Martson. Varee, a dig by Marisi, but it's almost caught by us. Boy, I'll tell you, Varee can put that ball down with as much authority as anybody I've seen, Steve.
And I'll tell you what's interesting. I do believe Varee is what we refer to in volleyball talk as backwards footed, meaning he's jumping with his right hip forward.
Rivette serves. Pass goes to Macias. Macias blisters it through the block. That time, Zerko and Steele couldn't stop it. 22-20, the Dons trail by a pair. This is game number 4. IPFW leads 2-1. Josh Stewart out, and Dan McNerney. Now the Dons have 7 seniors on this year's squad. These guys have gone to the last 2 Final Fours. Also 5 from north of the border, 5 Canadians on this team. It's a very popular sport in Canada. Steele sets it, and Martson bangs it off the body that time of Yost. So it is now 23-20. Arnie Ball doesn't look incredibly concerned, but I think he's not exactly pleased with the way this match has turned.
Well, St. Francis doing a nice job of turning that ball down the line. And then the Dons reacting, I felt, too much to the calls. Maybe they were bad calls, but they need to keep their heads on straight and attack.
Short ball is set as Cook, in effect, will get credit for the kill as Rivette tried to save it right here near the scorer's table and took a look at us because we almost got a lap full of Nick Rivette. Very tight quarters here in Gates. There is no doubt about that.
He actually had more room than he realized, I think. He slowed down when he didn't need to.
Ainsworth with the floater.
Good
There's
serve.
an overpass by Kadich, and Macias wipes it off the top of the block. So the Dons now crawl to within 23 to 22. All set up by the good serve by Graydon Ainsworth.
Yeah, and you know, while Ainsworth's serve doesn't look to be so tough, it certainly is causing a lot of trouble for the Red Flash. And there was no whistle.
Yeah, there was no whistle to initiate the serve could start, so it was almost like a frozen moment in time.
And bad luck for the Red Flash on that one because they had such a good pass. Good luck for Graydon because he gets another shot at making a challenging serve.
And there it goes, flipped up by Rivette. Short ball is set and put down by City. So 24-22.
And, you know, one of the little differences for the Red Flash has been they've gotten just a little more out of their middle hitters, which has helped actually get a couple points, which is all they needed to win the last game.
Steal a change of pace. Marisi bumps it up. Here comes a set to Yost. It's blocked. And we have a whistle. And I believe we had a member of the Red Flash tickling the twine. Draws the Dons to within 24-23, but now Coach Ball and his staff are looking for that spurt the Dons can put on to tie this thing up and then take the lead. Macias, big serve, bumped up by Schultz. We'll check that, it was bumped up by Kadich, and there is another kill that time by Jordan Varee. 25-23 in favor.
Varee just keeps blasting away.
Yep.
I don't even think he's looking where he's swinging right now. I think he's just blasting as hard as he can.
Short ball is set, and Ollie Cook says, I'm welcome back. So Cook with yet another kill draws the Dons back to within a point, 25-24, but now we're getting to that crunch time part of the game as you get ever so close to that 30 number.
We've got a nice front row in for the Dons. See if they can get a nice block here or transition to a kill.
Well, Rivette, the set was out of kilter. He had to play a free ball over. Chance for the Dons. Ulrich has the ball blocked right back at him by City with help from Varee. So in these latter couple of games, big points have been won by the Red Flashes.
Yeah, they had the triple block on that. It was a nice dig by Ainsworth, but when the setter digs the ball and the right side is playing the ball, almost always, I'd say 99% of the time, the right side sets the ball high to the outside hitter. Everybody knows that, so you can sort of camp out on that play.
City snaps the ball up, bumped up by Ulrich. The set comes to Brock. Brock tries a dink, but right there is Rivette. Chance for St. Francis, comes to Rivette. Rivette torches it that time, but it's a save. The Dons have a chance, flipped over. What a great play by the Dons. Bump set by Martson. Varee, change of pace. Bumped up by a diving Ainsworth, it's an overpass. Zerko to steal to Varee off the top of the block. Saved again by the Dons. Free ball will be bumped over. Now another chance for St. Francis. Here comes Rivette. And that'll be pounded off of Marisi, and that will be a kill for Rivette. And it is 27-24 in favor of St. Francis. And Arnie Ball has called a timeout. Game number 4, St. Francis leads 27-24. This is Mastodon Volleyball on CATV.
Do you have everything you need? Paper, pencils? We only ask that you do your best. I made you a snack.
Indiana University, Purdue University, Fort Wayne. One university, two great names.
The Hilliard Gate Sports Center on the campus of IPFW, along with IPFW Associate Women's Head Coach Steve Florio, Kent Horman here on CATV. This has been a dandy. There were possible indicators of a short night when the Dons won Game 1 30-22 and Game 2 31-29. But St. Francis of Pennsylvania roared back to win Game 3 30-28, and they're in pretty good shape right now in Game 4 27-24. 3 points away from sending this to a 5th and deciding game. Eric City, a little float serve, bumped up by Macias. Set goes to Yost. Yost wipes it off the block, and they're going to call it good. Arnie Ball does not like the call, but the flagman said good. It was a sensational block that time by St. Francis. And Arnie Ball was looking for an overrule. He's not getting it. It's 28-24, St. Francis. City again. Bumped up by Ulrich, kind of awkwardly. Long run for Ainsworth, but Brock makes lemonade out of lemons. He takes a flailing bump set and just torches it for the kill. And that was a must point for the Dons to make it 28-25.
Absolutely, and to get it from being out of system is huge. Need to hold for a block here. They've got a good blocking front row in. See if they can pull one out. It's probably going to Varee here.
Yost with the big serve. Set goes to Rivette, and there's block number one. Ainsworth and Stewart, and they put it right back into the faces of the red flashes. 28-26.
So this is a good rotation to get a block, too, for the Dons, because you've got Varee on the right with 18 kills, Rivette on the left with 20 kills. It could go to either one of them. That's tough to deal with when you're a blocking team.
Good serve by Yost. Steele will set it, and Rivette is dug up by Yost. Great dig by Jason. The set, Ulrich on the run, kind of an awkward set. There's Schultz bumping it up. Steele, Varee! Yost plays it out of the ceiling. It's a live ball, but there's a collision between Ainsworth and Josh Stewart. My goodness, and that will make it 29-26. And a little fistful of game points for St. Francis to send this to a fifth.
Varee just blasting away with reckless abandon.
Jordan Varee, a 6'3" sophomore outside hitter from Meadville, Pennsylvania. And has he ever stepped up his level of play? 18 kills. The big serve to the tape, Macias.
Good pass.
Comes to Yost, and Yost puts it into the net, and that will do it. 30-26. St. Francis takes game number 4, and we are going the distance. We're going to go to a fifth and deciding game, and we'll take a timeout. Mastodon Volleyball on CATV.
Pizza! I must eat. Wait, what is this? Capsicum anum? Agaricus bisporus? Allium cepa?
Can we eat this?
Peppers, mushrooms, and onions. Eat your pizza, man.
Funny.
Indiana University, Purdue University, Fort Wayne. One university, two great names.
I've gone away to a college where the class size is small. I've gone away to a college with a beautiful campus.
I've gone away to a college that cares about diversity.
I've gone away to a college where I get to live in my own apartment instead of living in a dorm room.
I've gone away to a college that really isn't that far away at all.
I go to IPFW.
IPFW.
I go to IPFW.
To find out more about college life at IPFW, go to our website. Indiana University, Purdue University, Fort Wayne. One university, two great names.
Coming up this month on IPFW Up Close, it's never too late to go to IPFW. We'll find out about a series of workshops designed specifically for adult students who want to go to college. Would you like a little comedy in your life? We'll have details of a special trip to Chicago to see one of Shakespeare's best comedies this summer. And we'll talk with an IPFW professor about her latest book on America. I hope you'll join me, Susan Alderman, for IPFW Up Close, Sundays at noon on College Access TV.
Here on CATV, but Steve, you called the shot. Dons won the first two games, and then when all of a sudden St. Francis came back, you said this could be a duplicate of what happened back in early February up in St. Francis. Dons won the first two. St. Francis then came back to win the second two, and the Dons finally did prevail in 5, but at one point when it looked like it could be a short night here at the Gates Center, St. Francis says, don't think so. We're going to go the distance. There you see the scores. Dons convincingly in game 1, 30-22. They sneaked out game 2, 31-29, and then St. Francis came back. Dons led that game 3, 28-26, but St. Francis came back to win it, and then got some key plays, some key points in game 4. And there is your boss, the head coach, Kelly Hartley-Hutton. But we are going to a 5th game. Kelly says, go Mastodons.
That's right. Go Dons.
She says, my TV time, okay. And I believe you have a recruit in this weekend, right?
Yeah, we do. We have a recruit in. We have a recruit in tomorrow, too. Working hard, as always.
And there you see some of the great group of IPFW students and student athletes who come to support. It's one of the great things I enjoy about watching events here at the Gate Center is you'll have this tonight men's volleyball, but you'll get a lot of the student athletes from all the other programs here who make a point of being out here. I know your women's volleyball team is always here for home volleyball matches. We have women's basketball. Men's basketball will pop in, the soccer programs, baseball, softball.
It's really nice. The student athletes really do support one another. And as far as volleyball goes, we get great support from the community as well. This is a volleyball savvy city here, and they really appreciate the teams we have here at IPFW.
City will start things off in game 5. Short ball is set to Ollie Cook, and Ollie puts it down. Yeah, you want to really you need to get off to a good start when you go to game 5. It was a tough pill for the Dons to swallow Tuesday in the makeup match with Ohio State when in game 5 they got ahead 4-0 and 5-1, but lost that 5th game to the Buckeyes. Rivette, and I believe he gets it down into the back row just inside that back line, so Rivette again continues his outstanding play. It's 1-1. This 5th game now is the first of 15, win by 2. Veree, who's had a monster match. Big serve, popped up neatly by Macias. Short ball, and Cook is blocked that time by Doug Zerko. It's 2-1 St. Francis.
Zerko's been quiet, so to chip in with a point on a block is tangible that the red flash maybe isn't exactly counting on.
There's a big serve, a diving save by Plisky, the set to Yost. And Yost has to play a little change of pace, but a diving attempt to keep it alive by Martson goes wide.
Great job of making it work by Yost, hitting a good cut shot, dropping that hand and bringing the ball cross court over the top of the block where no defense was. Nice change. Hasn't hit that angle yet tonight.
Macias, commits the service error. CJ tried to put a little too much starch on that. And so the Dons have service error unlucky number 13. St. Francis has also committed 13 errors. And now the serve by Rivette, bumped up neatly by Plisky. Back set to Yost. Yost, what a dig that time by Veree. There's a bump pass by Rivette. Veree loads it up out of the back row and just blasts it to the floor. It's 4-2 St. Francis.
And again, Veree just blasting away. And again, what's interesting about him is he's what, again, we refer to as backwards footed. Think about a baseball player throwing the ball with his right hand and stepping with his right foot. It's the same concept. It's usually not very good.
Ollie Cook can't put it down. One-handed set off the tape. Martson, it's saved by a diving Ainsworth. Macias is dug by Veree. This is a great rally. Here comes Rivette out of the back row, and he torches it off the body of Plisky. And it is 5-2 in favor of St. Francis. And Arnie Ball is going to take a timeout. We will take a timeout. This is Mastodons Volleyball on CATV College Access.
That boat was all right. You know, she continues to spill product at a rate of 3 per hour. Unit cost, say 60 cents. Factor in breakage, downtime, lost sales. You're looking at $2,400 a month. Indiana University, Purdue University, Fort Wayne. One university, 2 great names.
There's a bit of a concerned look on one of the fans here at the Hilliard Gate Sports Center. The Dons look to be in great shape. Well, probably about 45 minutes or so ago, they had won the first 2 games of this best 3 out of 5 match. But all of a sudden, the red flashes of St. Francis of Pennsylvania have roared back to take game 3, game 4, and they lead game 5, which is to 15 points, 5-2. Nick Rivette will serve it up, bumped up neatly that time, bit of an overpass, and Ainsworth, it was an overpass, his back grazed the net.
And
so that mistake.
Boy, the Dons just need to settle down here. They certainly have the talent to come back. There's no doubt about that. They just need to settle down, get their heads back in the game a bit, and get to work. That'll do.
Plisky with a good pass. Here comes Yost. Yost is blocked that time by Chad Martson. It is 7-2 St. Francis. Now all of a sudden the red flashes are jumping around, feeling awfully good about themselves. Wow. Well, Nick Rivette who may be having the match of his life. 22 kills, only 4 errors, hitting .429. And Jordan Veree is right behind him with 20 kills, 5 errors, hitting .441. The Dons need some instant offense right now, while starting with some defense in the side out. Rivette loads it up, bumped up by Plisky. Ainsworth a short ball, but that time Ollie Cook is dug. Free ball is played over by Martson. Plisky, Ainsworth sets for Yost. Yost, does he hit the top of the block? They are saying no. They're saying that is a swing error that time by Yost. And it is 8-2 in favor of St. Francis. Now, as you do in the middle of Game 5, once a team gets to 8, they'll change sides. And Arnie Ball is having a conversation with the down official, Dave Sines.
Well, you know, here's an opportunity for the Dons. Down by a good amount in a Game 5. They've had some bad luck in Game 5s. And if they can come back and win this one, maybe they get the monkey off their back. So it would be a great comeback.
Ainsworth back sets for Yost. Yost puts it down to the floor. And now I think the Dons fans are trying to get back behind the team and get them back into this. A bunch of the student athletes are standing right along the sideline on the far side of the court, trying to maybe get into the heads a little bit of St. Francis. Ollie Cook, little floater, flipped up by Rivette. Here comes the set. And Martson gets it off the top of the block and down. And it is 9-3 St. Francis on the wipe-off kill by Chad Martson, who has been a force since he was inserted into this match.
He's done some very nice things, and that was a nice change by Coach Rumbaugh.
Well, there's a serve that time, and it's a pretty good one by Seth Kadich, and the Dons have to play the free ball. Here comes the set out of the back row. Rivette is dug by a diving Plisky, but it won't work. It goes out of bounds and went sideways. It is 10-3 in favor of St. Francis.
Well, you want to see the Dons fight here. Again, they got the talent to come back. This is really, it's a big lead, but it's not insurmountable.
Kadich commits the service error. Wow.
Well, St. Francis helping out the Dons. Yost, a great server, going back. See if he can get something started. Good blocking front row here again.
Big serve, boy, he went for it all, but bumped up neatly by Rivette. Set comes across to Martson. He tries the dink, flipped down by Stewart, but I'll tell you, a lot of touches for St. Francis. And there is a free ball saved by a diving Plisky. Ulrich loads it up off the top of the block. Schultz with the dig. Steele, back sets to Veree, and Veree gets it off the top of the Dons block. Yet another kill, that time for Jordan Veree. It is 11-4 in favor of St. Francis, and the Dons in some trouble.
Veree picks up his 21st kill of the night with that swing.
Mark Steele, left-handed serve, bumped up by Macias. Ainsworth to CJ, dug up by Schultz. Steele back sets. Veree loads it up, and that time he does not get a wipe off. He misses the swing, so the Dons still breathing here, down 11-5, but they need to string together some points, and here is a guy who could do just that in Brock Ulrich.
There's still time. There is still time left for the Dons.
Big serve, but what a great pass by Schultz. Short ball, and a swing that time by Eric City is wide, so the unforced error that time by St. Francis, again, gives the Dons a little bit of life here. They trail 11-6.
Dons need a big block here, and they got Veree on the left, St. Francis does, and they've got Martson on the right. Look for it to go to one of those guys.
Steele back sets to Martson, dug by Plisky, Ainsworth, Stewart. And I believe we have a red flash either reaching over the net.
Yes.
And there is a timeout as now Mike Rumbaugh wants to talk to his team as the Dons have rallied to get back to within 11-7. And we will take a timeout here. You're watching Mastodons Volleyball on CATV.
Mom, Dad, you know we love kids, and I've made a decision that will totally change my life. Cameron's too. It's a huge responsibility, leading someone into, who knows, communication or science or math. That's what life's all about, right? Learning so you can pass on knowledge to younger minds. Dad, Mom, I want to be a teacher.
Indiana University, Purdue University, Fort Wayne. One university, two great names.
Steve Florio, Ken Horman back at the Hilliard Gate Sports Center. It is truly crunch time, and there is a rather concerned head volleyball coach of IPFW, Arnie Ball, and there again are some of the fine student athletes here. In fact, that's a group of the members of our women's and men's basketball teams here. There's a kind of a peek at one of the great freshmen, Jordan Zoop, out of Aliquippa, Pennsylvania. She had the white sweater on. Ulrich with the serve. Bumped up by Rivette. Steele sets Varee off the block, and yet another kill by Jordan Varee. 12-7 in favor of the Red Flashes of St. Francis of Pennsylvania. 3 points from an incredible comeback in this match. Chad Martson, a little knuckle floater bumped up by Ulrich. Good ball for Ainsworth, and Stewart puts it down. Pretty good timing there on the short ball, and the Dons crawl to within 12-8, but right now, Steve, they need some points.
Yep, and Oliver Cook is coming in, and he's been a good point scorer for the Dons all night. He's got 12 on the night. He's hitting .625 overall. We've got CJ, the All-American, up there, too, so good lineup here.
And there was a mishandle that time, a little bit of mistiming by Steele on the set. They call a double hit on him. Boy, what a point the Dons needed there. And I think Mike Rumbaugh, the coach of St. Francis, not totally concerned, but you don't like to see something like that. Little pop-up serve again. Steele has to run it down. The set comes to Rivette. The Dons cannot block it. You had Cook and Ainsworth up there, but he wiped it off the Dons block. 13-9. Out goes Marisi. In comes Plisky is back in, the libero. Now, they have to get this change made the proper way. So being summoned back are Marisi. Now Stewart comes in.
Plenty of time left still for the Dons. I know that sounds silly, but these last few points, they've been outscoring the Red Flash. They can just get the ball back here. They can run. Great Ainsworth, who's had some good success serving, would be the next server. They'd have a nice, they'd get Yost back in the front row. They'd have CJ in the front row. And they'd have Cook. They're probably their best 3 offensive players tonight.
Tyler Matera with a great knuckle serve, but a good pass by CJ. Macias peels it off the block. Another kill from Macias, and the Dons now trail 13-10.
So the 3 best offensive options for the Dons are all in the front row right now. That's good news. Ainsworth, who's been having a good serving night, is back in.
Bumped up neatly that time by Schultz. And the Dons block it, but Schultz will keep it alive. Here we go again. Rivette, little change of pace, saved by a diving Plisky. Back set to Yost. Yost loads it up, and he gets it off the block, and Schultz can't dig it. So there is another one of those must points for the Dons. They trail now 13-11. And this is another one of those huge points.
And
again,
yes, well, you got Varee on the right. Look for Varee to probably get this ball here.
Flipped up that time by Schultz. Here comes the set. Rivette dug up by Plisky. Chance for IPFW. The set to Macias. CJ pounds it off the block. Can they save it? And putting it down is Yost. It was an overpass on the dig. Yost put it down, and it's 13-12 in favor of St. Francis, and Mike Rumbaugh has called a timeout to try to stem this point streak that the Dons are starting to reel off, and IPFW is now maybe they're getting a little bit of the momentum back for the Dons, and they're putting some pressure on St. Francis, who, quite frankly, Steve, I'm not sure if they even expected to be here. The Dons were up 2-0. Next thing you know, they get it to 2-2, and they had a rather commanding lead in game number 5. They had an 11-4 lead at one point. The Dons have come back to make it 13-12. They're only now 1 point down.
And you know, this is where they want to be. Ainsworth has been an effective server against the Red Flash. They just seem to be having trouble handling his serve. And the 3 best offensive options on the night right now, as the statistics say, are in the front row for the Dons. So Ainsworth's got 3 options to go to when they can dig it up. And plus, it's a good blocking front row. It's sort of everything's falling into place right now. This is crucial, though. Can they hold here out of the timeout? Varee is lurking on the right side for the Red Flash.
It has to start with the Ainsworth serve. Good floater. Schultz has it right up the arm a bit. Here comes the set for Varee. Varee is blocked by Oliver Cook. Oliver Cook with a huge block. And now the Gate Center is electric as the Dons have come all the way back and tied at 13 apiece. The Dons on a 9-2 run. What a comeback by IPFW. Can they complete it? This could be the point of the match right here. Ainsworth The little floater flipped up. The set comes across. Rivette. Oh, he took a little pace off of it, looped it over the block, and Ulrich couldn't dive for it. So we have a match point for St. Francis. And Arnie Ball is going to take a timeout, and I've always called this is like trying to freeze the field goal kicker in overtime or at crunch time because he wants to hit a game-winning field goal. So Arnie Ball is going to let whoever is going to serve for St. Francis think about this, Steve. But
absolutely,
unbelievably, first of all, it's been a great comeback in Game 5 for the Dons, but they are staring a match point in the face right now. We'll see if they can get away from that. But one of the things the Dons need, they need a lot of athletic fans and support. We hope you've heard of the Royal Dons Club. You can participate in the excitement, just like tonight, of Mastodon Athletics with the Royal Dons Club, IPFW's official athletic booster organization. Members enjoy athletic-related special events, priority access to tickets, and much, much more. To learn about the Royal Dons Club, call 260-481-6643, 260-481-6643, or you can write to the Royal Dons Club, 2101 East Coliseum Boulevard in Fort Wayne, 46805, or go to the athletics website at gomastodons.com.
Okay, you've got Cook, Yost, and Macias. Three best offensive players right now. Who are they going to go to?
Varee goes forward on match point. Good pass by Plisky. The back set. Macias, what a smash that time off the body of Matera. And a big kill that time by Macias to make it 14 apiece. That's one match point avoided by the Dons, and now C.J. Macias will try to put IPFW on top for the first time since 1-0 in Game 5.
Now you've got the setter in the front row with Zerko and Rivette.
And Rivette with the swing, and they're saying in. Arnie Ball is not tickled with that call that time, but Rivette comes through. 15-14 in favor of St. Francis. And now it'll be Nick Rivette serving for the match.
Yeah, Ainsworth with a lot of options again. Yost going to swing from the right, Cook from the middle, Brock from the left.
Perfect pass by Ulrich. Back set to Yost. Yost misses it. Jason Yost misses it. And St. Francis has come into the Gates Center and stunned the Dons. Absolutely stunned the Dons, and this good crowd here at Gates has gone absolutely stone silent. What an amazing comeback by St. Francis of Pennsylvania as they defeat IPFW 22-30, 29-31, 30-28, 30-26, and 16-14. With the victory, St. Francis goes to 12-13 for the season. The Dons fall to 12-13 for the season. We will take a break and come back with some final comments. This is Mastodon Volleyball on CATV.
Are you in there? What's up? The show's at 7. Whoa.
Indiana University, Purdue University, Fort Wayne. One university, two great names.
What have you done for your marriage today?
I gave a huge hug this morning, like a really big squeeze.
She got a really short haircut that she hated, and I wrote her a note and put it up on the mirror saying that she was a cute girl with cute hair.
I got him mustard and mayonnaise for his sandwich when we were having lunch.
Today we've actually organized a date night tonight.
And silverware and napkins. Wasn't that wonderful?
What have I done for my marriage today?
Wow, that is a great question.
I took the baby while she worked.
I suppose I didn't yell at him for anything at all.
I got up with the baby while he slept.
Yeah. I've carried my wife's purse.
What have you done for your marriage today?
What have I done?
I listened to my wife when we talked on the telephone today.
Well, I've done today what I usually do, and that is obey.
She really likes it when I listen.
What have you done for your marriage today? Little things can make a big difference. For ideas, go to foryourmarriage.org. A message from the Catholic Church.
Coming up this month on IPFW Up Close, it's never too late to go to IPFW. We'll find out about a series of workshops designed specifically for adult students who want to go to college. Would you like a little comedy in your life? We'll have details of a special trip to Chicago to see one of Shakespeare's best comedies this summer, and we'll talk with an IPFW professor about her latest book on America. I hope you'll join me, Susan Alderman, for IPFW Up Close, Sundays at noon on College Access TV.
Welcome back to the Hilliard Gate Sports Center along with Steve Florio, Kent Horman here on CATV. And I think, Steve, the one word we can use right now, still with the crowd that's left here in the Gate Center, is just stunned.
Yeah.
Stunned.
After being up 2-0 St. Francis fought real hard and managed to take the next 3 and win 3-2.
And then the amazing thing was in that 5th game, and especially with rally scoring, when you're in a situation where you get down by a lot of points, that's usually good night. Dons were down 11-4 in Game 5, came all the way back to tie it. St. Francis had a match point. The Dons staved that off. And then again, St. Francis just made some key plays. On their second match point, they prevail.
Absolutely.
They win this one in 5. And now for the regular season, both teams are both 12 up and 13 down. This was a tremendous volleyball match, and I think it comes down to no matter how down a team looks, you can still find a way to rally, and that's the term in volleyball. And it's been a tough season for IPFW. Arnie Ball has talked about this, especially in cases when the Dons get ahead 2-0. It's basically putting that foot down and maybe even twisting a little bit, sealing the deal. The Dons are now 3-6 for the season in 5-game matches, and for the second time this week, they've lost in 5. They fell earlier on Tuesday in the makeup match with Ohio State. And again, this is not the type of situation or not the type of key points you can lose that result in losing a match as you're trying to prepare for tournament play.
Yeah, trying to build momentum going into the MIVA tournament, and, you know, dropping a game like this is a heartbreaker. Tomorrow night, it's not going to get any easier with Penn State, the #1 team in the nation, coming to town. Again, though, an opportunity to build momentum, and you know, they need to shake this loss off, and it's going to be a tough one to shake off, but they need to shake it off and come out playing tomorrow night.
Let's take a look at some of the highlights from tonight's match, and I'll tell you, early on, the first 2 games, all IPFW, and then very slowly but surely, the tide started to turn, and again, IPFW looked very, very impressive in the first 2 games, and St. Francis just decided we're not ready to shower up yet. We're not ready to start the bus. There's a key block at the net. You see a little frustration right there exhibited by the Dons. Jason Yost, who had a big night, he had a bushel of kills, but it just seemed like when they needed key points, and they came from a number of different areas for St. Francis. You know, it was a situation where the head coach, Mike Rumbaugh, made some early changes. He made a change at the setter position, and he made a change at one of his hitters, and both provided dividends.
Yeah, that did make a difference. In particular, the setting position seemed to really change the momentum for St. Francis. But Martin, who didn't have quite as many kills as the other 2 players who led the team, 26 for Rivette and 22 for Vary, Martin did have a key block in Game 5 and a couple key kills. So good change by Coach Rumbaugh. It was good volleyball all night, though, as you see some of the highlights. You know, some good rallies, some big swings. Both teams really taking some big hacks at the ball. There's a big block there. That was late in Game 5. There you see the second to last play of Game 5 as Rivette goes. That was a huge swing by Macias when it was match point, and he tied it up at 14-14. So some good things. You know, you got to look at the big picture here. Yes, IPFW lost, but it was a very good volleyball match. Looking at the stats, it'll show you. Both teams hit over 300. St. Francis hitting 32%, IPFW hitting 37%. So right there, you're looking at a very good volleyball match, high offensive match, lots of big swings, and so both teams played well. One team just edged the other one out. Assists, Red Flash had the advantage, 75-68. 13 blocks, and there is one of the big differences by the Red Flash, 13 blocks to 8 for the Dons. But the Dons again had the lead in digs with 37 and the lead in hitting percentage at 37. And again, great volleyball match. And both teams did really good things. And that's something maybe I would say to my team in the locker room, tough loss, but we did good things tonight. And that's what they need to bring into the playoffs is good things.
Yeah.
Macias had a slow start to the season, but he's back, 20 kills tonight, and he's wailing away. And, and at 14-13, to get that set at 14-13 and jam it as hard as he did and tie the game up is something we weren't seeing from him early in the season.
Well, and take a look at these final kill numbers. Rivette, who had probably the match of his life, 26. Varee had 22. Riley, who we didn't see much of in the second part of the match, only had 8. And then there is the Don spreading it out. Yost, 21. He was, again, the MIVA Player of the Week for the second time this season. He got the award this past week. Macias with 20. Ulrich with 12. But, one perspective, too, this one has to sting for IPFW. There hasn't been a lot of success at home this year, and they've lost 2 5-game matches this week. If you're in the other locker room, if you're with St. Francis, they have to be just jumping off the ceiling because they had a starting middle already out for the season with an injury. And in the pre-match warm-up tonight, another starter went down when he rolled an ankle. Here they're down players, they're down starters, they're down 2 games to none, and somehow they found a way to have the gut check and come back and win this thing. And again, both teams now are 12-13. But St. Francis probably they're going to celebrate this one for a while.
Yeah, and rightly so. They should. It's a big win for St. Francis, small little school out in Loretto, Pennsylvania. At least when I went, 1,200 students. Maybe they're up to 1,500 now. That's a big win to come out here and be at a powerhouse like IPFW.
Steve, always a pleasure working with you.
Same
I really
here.
appreciate it. And you'll be back in the saddle tomorrow night here on CATV with Indiana's news center, Ryan Elijah, on the call. I'll be doing the match on the radio, so you have some options, but you'll be able to see it right here on CATV. Well, that'll do it here from the Hilliard Gate Sports Center. IPFW loses a tough one. We'd like to thank everybody who's been part of this broadcast, specifically the CATV production crew, the outstanding producers and directors, and everybody, along with College Access Television, that made the broadcast of this men's volleyball match possible. There you see it. Some unhappy news tonight from the Hilliard Gate Sports Center as St. Francis of Pennsylvania rallies to defeat the Dons 22-30, 29-31, 30-28, 30-26, and 16-14. Again, the Dons in Penn State right here on CATV tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. But that'll do it for tonight's broadcast of IPFW Men's Volleyball from the Gate Center. For Steve Florio, I'm Kent Horman. Thank you so much for joining us. This has been a CATV Sports exclusive.